Welcome to the man room.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the man room. Thanks for joining me today. I am your host, Marcus Bridges. And you can find us wherever you find podcasts and shit. You know, Spotify, YouTube, Google, the places. It's pretty easy. And to be honest with you, after 19 episodes, I'm really sick of naming all those places off. So go find me, put the Man Room podcast in your computer, and I'll pop up. Joining me in the Man Room today, somebody who I have not seen for, we were kind of kicking it around. I think it's been about 6 years. I know that it feels a lot longer than that. And I'm just super happy to have you, dude. Thank you so much for joining me in the man room. Dano Lemm, welcome in, dude.
Hey, what's going on, Marcus? It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, you have no idea. Well, when you hit me up on Messenger and you said, hey, you know, I have this podcast that I'm doing. Do you call it a podcast or do you call it a broadcast? I mean, podcast, I could have sworn was something that was having to do with Apple.
I mean, yeah, you can call it a podcast because now there's so many platforms out there that do the same thing Apple Podcasts did that I could call it a broadcast, but I feel like that'd be overselling it based on my listener count.
Oh.
It's not super broad yet.
Don't count you out yet. You know, I did my research going into this, but as I was saying, yeah, when you hit me up, like all these ideas kept going, and this is my first one, by the way. Like I've waited.
You've never done a podcast?
Never.
Well, wait, you had one with Carl, but he didn't air it.
Oh, that's right. It was me and Kronk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that mic's messing up on you?
Oh,
dude,
my God.
It's that mic stand is kind of a
I
piece
am
of garbage.
39, dude. It could just be me.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
One thing that I kind of love about this is the loose nature of when I call it a podcast, I feel like it gives me the ability to just be like, hey, we're just going to stop talking right now. We're going to take care of stuff. And I don't have to come back and cut that out. It's like that natural, we're just having a conversation, and you're going to hear all of it, even if one of us falls out of our chairs or spills a drink. So,
which I should assign something because I'm prone for it. Yeah.
I'm just worried. I got you sitting between two drum sets right now.
Oh, man.
And as a very accomplished drummer yourself, I'm wondering if your hands are starting to twitch.
I as you can see, for the people who can't see, I have this thing where I pick at my nails. Uh-huh. And that's usually some kind of tick that I have. I don't know if sometimes it's nerves, sometimes it's boredom, but other times it's just because I've been a drummer now for, since I was 23? I think 23 was the first time I got behind a drum kit.
Really?
So, yeah.
I would have guessed way sooner than that because I've been playing since I was 13 and you're way better than me.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, homie. I mean, I've heard you play, and there's the people that were raised around it and they started with pots and pans and then their parents got sick of it, so they got them a drum kit, or some people like Brown from Macedon. He started by having, a family member's kit that no one really played on, so he'd go up there and put his headphones on and try to play to Rush or something like that. And I really didn't get that. My dad was musically driven, but he never really played anything. And then I came around and we would listen to this radio station down in Los Angeles, KLOS 95.5, and it was a classic rock station. Mm-hmm. And he would always quiz me. He'd say, oh, hey, Dano, what's this? What's that? And then the competitive side in me was like, I want to name these songs before he even gets a chance to ask. So I was able to name a song within point something seconds. Like, it takes longer to register from my brain to my mouth than it does like when I actually hear it and get it from my ears to my brain.
That's awesome.
But yeah. And then flash forward, 23 years old, I was hanging out with Aaron, my bandmate, Aaron Tennell, and he had a lot of stuff going on. I gave him 2 weeks to put a band together. Back when I was in Chainsaw Sex Vikings as a vocalist.
Which, by the way, great name. Love the name. You guys have never come across a bad name, at least that I know of. So Chainsaw Sex Vikings falls at the top of that list.
I mean, that was the one thing. You didn't have to like the music. You almost came just because of the name and what do they sound like? You know what I mean? Well, what does the Chainsaw Sex Vikings sing about? But yeah,
you gave him two days?
I gave him 2 weeks to put a band together, and because I saw it in him. Mm-hmm. When you have music that's running through your veins, and you just need that person to push you off of the cliff of creativity. he had all the burn in his eyes for it. There was just smoke coming out of his eyes. They were burning so hard.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, you got 2 weeks, because I was putting together a show and I was like, no one's available. Hey, Aaron, you got 2 weeks to put a band together. Let's do it. And he goes, okay. He showed up as a 9-piece band at the Black Forest. He had a hand drum player, a shitload of guitarists, one drummer, and then they kind of started fizzling out, and band members just kind of kept leaving, and without getting into too much detail, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, wound up needing a drummer and had a show in 2 weeks. Well, Chainsaw Sex Vikings had since disbanded and dismembered and whatnot. So
gone off to pilfer and the things that Vikings will do.
Especially of the chainsaw sex variety.
One of the rough and tumble breeds of Vikings, as I understand.
So then he looks at me and he goes, you know what, man? You got behind the drum kit once, and we played this AC/DC cover when the Athiarchists and Chainsaw would play together. And I would get behind the drums, and lo and behold, it just came naturally. So he goes, you got behind the drum kit, and you were pretty all right. I got a show in 2 weeks. Why don't you be the drummer? I don't know, man. You got a solid name behind you, and I love what you're doing, and I don't want to, influence you more than I already have. I want you to take off with this thing and fly. You should have no problem finding a drummer. We drove over the Mackenzie, like over the bridge on 126, when you're going towards Valley River, which is about all of 15 seconds, and it was 15 seconds of silence, and he goes, yeah, you should play the drums, and I go, okay.
And then the Athiarchists, as we currently know them, were born, yes?
For the next 2 weeks, all we did was sit in this practice room that was right by John Henry's before Horsehead took it over and turned it into another pool room.
Right.
It was, I think it was called the Vault Studio.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of that before. I never went in there, but I definitely heard of that. Yeah.
And Aaron had it at the time, and he owned it, or he was renting it. And so for the next 2 weeks, all we did was sit in there, play music. We had, this was our daily routine. Get up, get a Little Caesars pizza, Coke or Pepsi, whatever was cold, a bottle of Green Label Evan Williams, find an eighth of weed, because this was before weed was legal.
You couldn't just go out and buy it.
You couldn't just go out and buy the shit. I had to walk uphill both ways in the snow, barefoot, with bears chasing me to try to find weed, an eighth, Yeah. 3.5 grams of marijuana. And that was the next hunt. As soon as we got that taken care of, we went back to the practice room, and that's where we stayed until we retired, went to John Henry's, and started partying for the evening.
Gotcha. Which normally those John Henry's parties had an affinity to run till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, whenever the last person wanted to go home.
Oh my God! You know what? No one was ever allowed to stay after hours at that spot. So I mean, at 2:30.
It was a hard close, right?
It was a hard close.
There was no back door that you could knock on.
People read Bible verses while and chanted while they were cleaning. It looked like something out of a Disney tale.
Yeah, there was, like I said, there was no back door that you could kick loudly and have a large bearded gentleman such as yourself let you in. Maybe it was Kronk. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, we got mixed up a lot back then, Two large bearded men in Eugene.
Drinking heavily, which is all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have the beard at the time, and I'm not what you'd call large, but I do the drinking thing I could get.
Yeah.
So it was always funny to me the amount of time I spent at John Henry's after.
Oh my!
And
a good thing we can kind of talk about it now. I'm still not going to out him out at anything, because there is some shit that went down that I heard in a National Enquirer one time.
Yes, and you know what? And I have to say, to go off one of your points that you made earlier, they did kind of turn that into another sports bar. And actually, we had to do a Donkey Show Throbbit party like 2 weeks after that sports bar opened.
Got it.
And we were terrified because of the following, and the crew that John Henry's had felt very disenfranchised when that whole thing went down. And then they're just like, oh, we got you a great bar. They couldn't wait to have you guys in. It's like, yeah, but we don't want to go there. They're going to drag us out in the street and beat us on Broadway. And I mean, it really was like, it was one of the worst Throbbit parties we've ever thrown. And those parties would be big. I mean, we would have a lot of people out.
Oh my God.
There was nobody out for
I've
this
always
one.
I've always wanted to ask this because I've wondered this having traveled and listened to the radio station when you guys were doing it in, it was live in Eugene, but then we'd be driving down and in Medford, you'd catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played a place called the Treasure Trove. And they were huge fans of your guys's.
Oh, down in Medford?
Down in Grants Pass,
Grants Pass, yeah.
So anytime we did anything down there, they were like, dude, do you guys know the guys in the Donkey Show? And I was wondering, because of what we heard, how were those Throbbit parties that you would do down there?
I've said this before on the podcast, and I will always maintain it. Medford Throbbits were built different. And when they came out, see, we didn't get to do an annual Throbbit party down there. What we would do is we'd go down there once every 3 months, so once a quarter. Mm-hmm. And we would party at Howie's on Front, which unfortunately is no longer there. It's been taken over by a nonprofit now, which does stand-up comedy and plays and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, but get away from that. At Howie's on Front, we would always be picked up at the hotel. We stayed at the Rogue Regency, one of the nicest hotels in Medford. They put us up there. They would whisk us up at the hotel. They'd give each one of us a $100 bar tab and free dinner. And they would pack that place literally from rim to rim. There were so many people that came out to those parties that the cops, and I'm not sure the legality on this, but the cops would come walk through our parties looking for parole violations. Like people that were on parole that were not supposed to be. And they packed people out. Like people would risk their freedom to come and party with us for one night, and then they'd leave in handcuffs.
It's like those stories you hear about people that are like, you won the lottery, come to this place to win your prize, and then you go there, and then it's the cops just waiting for you.
Exactly.
You want a 50-inch television, come on down.
Dude, just to give them the credit that they deserve, the Medford parties were always some of the rowdiest and most fun. And then it never ended at Howie's. We got one time this Cadillac Escalade picked us up. We didn't know the guy driving. We didn't know where we were going, but we were all, we're partying. Woo, let's go. We ended up at this nightclub that had been built in like a makeshift warehouse on the second floor. Bottle service at a table right in the middle of the dance floor. Like all these people surrounding us. We have no idea who they are.
It was backed by the Russians.
Dude, they're literally treating us like we're the biggest celebrities that have ever come to Medford. And I always say the celebrity is the second worst C word that you can call me.
Yeah, I agree.
I hated it, but I fucking loved being down there with them because they didn't get a lot of the stuff. They didn't have the sports teams. They didn't have the concerts. Yes. And they treated us like it.
Yeah.
And we were on a station down there too, so it had its own identity. The station did, but the show, we didn't have to do two shows. We're just able to pipe one down to them.
Right.
So they were in on all the stuff. They just gracious people down there. I actually recently did a stand-up set down there, and I have another one coming up in July down in Medford.
Do you really?
Yeah, and dude, the people are still great. Like you could say the Donkey Show down there, and people don't remember it quite as well as they do up here, but it depends on who you're talking to. Because I also have people come over to me in Medford and be like, I recognize that voice.
I know that voice.
Exactly. And so, awesome people down there, and thank you guys all. If there's anybody from Medford that was a part of that listening,
huge shout out.
It was so much fun, and I really wish that Howie's on Front was still there, but I'm hoping what they're gonna do with it now, because it's got a good side for stand-up comedy. It also has a really nice bar and restaurant side.
Yeah.
And they're trying to bring it back, and I think COVID was really hard on those plans.
What was the name of that place?
Howie's on Front.
You know what? There was a place, I don't know if you've ever been there. It might be close. I think it's called like 2nd Street, or it was like named after a street, and it has like a brick building. They have a stage that's when you walk into the right. There was like a sushi place. They serve sushi there.
I don't think I ever went there, but that sounds awesome.
Oh my God, this place was huge. We played there with, I want to say it was Hemlock.
Okay.
And Mendo Dope, which are from Eureka.
They're not from Mendo?
No,
that's amazing.
Mendocino County. I mean,
okay. I don't know the geography, but
I mean, they're from Mendocino County. I heard in the National Enquirer, and I don't want to out anybody on anything.
Been really boning up on your research with the National Enquirer.
This is my first podcast, man.
Dude, you are doing so good already, and we've only even scratched the surface.
Yeah, I mean, when you told me an hour and a half, like when I was on my way, I was was supposed to do this. All right, let's break the kayfabe here. I was supposed to be here yesterday.
And the day before, which was my fault.
Well, I mean, that's not your fault. That's just life happening. You know what I mean?
We should take the listeners through the chronicles of getting you here, because it has taken 3 days and we live pretty much in the same city.
Do you know how hard it is to build yourself up to talk into a microphone for 2 days and not have it go through? I was starting to have podcast conversations with my roommate's dogs. So how do you feel about outside? What do you see?
At least you're prepared, man. I know that you've gone through this 1,000 times in your head, because,
oh my God,
like you said, our minds work the same. I've been pacing for 3 days too. I've already done this podcast 4 times in my head.
Right,
so
right.
It's going great.
You know what? I only get so far, and then that's when I start thinking about it. Like, oh my, I just thought of this. I was listening to a song on the way to the coast when I was trying to escape the record heat that we had. And I was listening to a song, and I was like, okay, I'm talking about the moment where I'm listening to a song right now on his podcast, which I'm doing right now, which kind of gives me chills in my legs, man, because it's kind of weird synchronicity thing where you're just like, and I knew I was going to say that, and it just keeps on tumbling over because I kept having those thoughts. I don't know if it's psychopathic or if there's something wrong upstairs, but I can totally do stuff like that, and it freaks me out. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
like I'll just write myself into a corner. You know what I mean? Because now I'm in that moment in the car listening to a song that reminded me of you, and then I'm talking about it now, but I was talking about it in my head then, and it hadn't happened yet.
Right.
So I mean, I just Rick and Morty'd myself, man. You know what I mean?
It's a weird thing that happens to me. I have this problem, and I had to, in the radio especially, I had to break this habit, because my thing when I get nervous is, well, just make sure you're prepared. The best thing I can do for me is make sure that I've got my ducks in a row. But the problem is when you're so worried about being so prepared, a lot of times you have those conversations in your head and you manufacture a response from the person sitting across from you, because maybe the question isn't leading, but maybe you have an idea of where they're going to go with their response. And when they flip a Louie and go the other way on you, I just sometimes, like you said, paint yourself into a corner is a really good way, because you go, wait, I prepared for every contingency. You weren't supposed to fucking say that, is what I want to say. But instead, I kind of, I kind of Porky Pig my way through it.
Right.
But it works, and I also feel like it's one of the reasons I started a podcast is like I just really enjoy conversation.
Of course.
When I'm out at the
perfect
bar,
for it. Like any conversation we've ever had at a bar, I always left going, man, that motherfucker's solid, man.
You're going to make me blush, dude. Even more than this margarita already is.
Oh, yeah, right. Do you still do that?
Yeah, man.
Do you talk about that?
I talk about it, absolutely.
Okay.
I ask every guest what they want in here. And this is another thing I have to say about you, which I absolutely love, okay?
Boy.
We got the tequila. We got El Cimarron tequila. We're having
good.
margaritas with some Mr. and Mrs. T's.
Mr. and Mrs. T's margarita mix.
It's got the from scratch taste, which you pointed out so eloquently that it's obviously not from scratch.
It's made from scratch taste. So
it's marginal at best.
Absolutely.
Stuff, I'm not going to lie to you. It was on sale.
You know, and I'm not going to lie to you. This is great. I mean, just the name alone, it's like your brain already goes to, all right, Mr. T got married, and him and Mrs. T put out a margarita mix. He just dropped the gold and went straight into...
I'm sure he's still wearing it.
Which is made from scratch taste. Like, that just dry. I got some candies the other day, and it was like colors from real sources. It's like, no shit.
Yeah, you don't have to say that if that's the truth, though. I feel like you're just putting that on there.
You're putting that on there for some legality reasons. Exactly. I still ate them. They're one of my favorite candies, but I mean, shit.
Nobody's giving up candy.
It's
come on.
Oh, man. You know what? Yeah. So I got to ask you, what have you been up to all these years?
Well, it was an interesting story. When the Donkey Show ended, it was the day that Ashley and I accepted keys to this house you're sitting in right here.
Right.
And so radio, because there was nothing available in Eugene, radio wasn't really an option for me anymore. And I got into the cannabis industry for about 5 years.
You know, I've seen your name when I go to sign in at places because it's working at Itchy Ribs, and I just, it's not like I intentionally do it, but you see this nice penmanship that says Marcus Bridges. I'm like, I fucking know that name. I'm like, no shit. And then I'm looking around like you might still be there. You know what I mean?
I saw your name a bunch too, dude. And I knew one day if I was still doing it, we would cross paths, but we never did.
Who the fuck is Danny?
I did dispensary management for a little bit. I managed
so awesome.
Next Level Wellness for about a year and a half, and then I got into sales with white label extracts.
Why'd you leave?
It's a long kind of personal story.
Oh
but,
boy!
I
All
mean,
right, so that's an off the air kind of thing.
I mean, I'll tell you, it just the situation was made untenable, and that was out of my control.
I understand.
So I made a decision. I have this thing about me where if you let somebody do something that's very non-beneficial to you and it helps them. You're not letting them do that once. That's only the first time they're going to do it to you. And so I call it pride, call it paranoia. I don't know what you want to call it, but I saw a cascade of this type of behavior coming my way, and I was just the guy that was the very first one to get it. And sure enough, it happened to everybody else in the sales force 3 or 4 months after I was done.
Yeah.
And, I was fortunate. I made good money while I was there. The cannabis industry is booming all over the place. And,
oh, boy.
I did well. And I guess having a supportive wife, I went to her and I said, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing cannabis anymore for now. Bald guys don't chase their dreams, and I'm losing all of it up top. Can I do this and see if it works out? And she goes, yeah, do it. And so that's the whole origin story of what's been going on for the last 5 years, and this just started in February of this year. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of a new venture for me, but I'm really enjoying it. I get to talk to fucking dope people. I get to do it my way. There's nobody that tells me what I can and can't talk about and what I can and can't say.
Absolutely.
It was just, I have this man room that I like to hang out in, and I was like, why not have a podcast where we come up here and just hang out? Because this room typically hosts all my buddies from out of town for when they come to watch football games or go to concerts and stuff like that. I play my Xbox up here, and I just had kind of space that I wasn't utilizing for like a positive output, and now I'm doing that. Like I mean, the drum sets are set up. I spend considerably more time on the podcast than I do tapping around on the drums. And I don't like to admit that, but it's the truth because I'm really having fucking fun, dude.
I completely understand. And after listening to so many of these episodes, it's like, I can totally see you spending a whole week just editing and doing the, what I was saying before we started, what you were meant to do and your passion. You know what I mean? I lost that for a while.
Well, dude, it's hard not to when you're not doing it every day.
We're a live band. If you pick up one of our CDs or you listen to one of our songs on any platform, Spotify or whatever, it's not the same as being there and all of a sudden we're just live in the moment, looking at you, making things personal, like pointing someone's shirt out in the middle of a song, and there goes Dano goofing off, and Aaron's goofing off with them, and then they just bounce back and forth, and then the next thing you know, just funny shit happens where everyone's dying laughing.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. I mean, by no means we're no Tenacious D, we're no White Stripes, we're Brown D or something.
You guys are a damn fun live show, and it always has been. And that's one of the things I have written down is when COVID hit, what did you guys do? How many shows did you have to cancel? What was your plan?
Well, we're very open with our schedule because we don't have really anything. It's just me and Aaron. Aaron and myself. So we don't have management. We don't have obligations. I mean, if someone hit us up, and it's happened in the past. During COVID, we had one house party where they were like, hey, it's someone's birthday, and if you guys don't mind, they were very respectful about everything and said, if you guys don't mind coming by and playing, we set up shop in their backyard and just blew out the neighbors off of Highway 99,
Awesome.
It was so rad too, because they were so, like we were talking about, people who are appreciative of what you do, they were so thankful that never went without like a beer in our hand or a water in our hand or a joint flying around or offering this, that, and the other thing. And may the good entity bless them, because that's cool. But aside from that, no, Aaron and I focus mainly on work. I tried to do the whole unemployment thing for a while, and I spent so much money on Xbox.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, dude.
I played NBA 2K, and I have this thing where if something's cool to me from my childhood, I need it. And I was chasing this Kobe Bryant card like if that you play on my team.
Oh yeah.
And I tried to open so many packs, like, and it's linked up to my roommate's Xbox, so it's not even my Xbox. So when I buy something, it notifies him.
And you're just forking over cash.
I'm just feeding the monkey, man. I'm going for it. He just sends me a text. He goes, again? It's like there's no words spoken other than that, because we already know. Like, soon he'll be on his lunch break, you know, and I'll just buy one, you know, impulsively. Like, maybe I'll get it this time. Maybe it's what time I buy it at. Maybe if I buy this many, that it ups my chances. Like, I'd be a really bad gambler to try to calculate slot machines, you know, and I'd just fuck myself into a corner with that.
Well, there's a whole city of people down in Nevada that their favorite line is, tonight's the night.
Tonight's the night.
And it fucking still hasn't happened.
Well, I mean, I watched this guy on YouTube, and he just forks over thousands of dollars into these machines. Like, his name's NG. I don't know if you've ever seen it, NG Slots. Oh my God. Like, I got into this whole world on YouTube because I want to see somebody win, because I play those things and there goes another $20.
Right.
There goes another 20. This motherfucker's putting in $600, you know, at a time, rolling on these high machines, doing max bets. And I'll be damned if the motherfucker doesn't come out ahead half the time. Granted, he's putting in 12 grand a fucking night.
Right.
But I started watching that stuff, and it's like, man, I am so bad at gambling.
You know, but they have a way of making you feel that way, because think about the fishing shows that you've seen. Those motherfuckers are pulling lunkers out every goddamn cast.
Well,
how many hours did they sit out there with nothing going on?
You are absolutely right. It takes great editing, because I, too, love to fish, and there's no fucking way you're catching them at the rate they're doing it.
Right? Not enough to have a
There's no way.
I've been fishing since I was a young boy, and I still haven't caught enough fish in my life to make 1/2 an hour episode.
God. You know, I used to joke around with my dad and say, there's a fucking dude with a scuba outfit down there, and he's just having lipped, and he just hooks him up to the fucking fish, pulls on the line a couple times. Oh, got one. Yeah, there goes Bill Dance. He's got another one, that lucky son of a gun. You know,
Yeah, man.
but going back to the slot machines, you know who's really good at them?
Who's that?
People on fucking drugs.
Well, they have that laser focus,
Holy
right?
shit. You can hear the buzzing when you walk by them. Like, they're on overdrive, but they're like, no, you got to do it like this. And they lick their lips and they wipe the screen, and their eyes are twitching and shit. You almost think they're a cyborg or something, you know? Like, you're not real.
Yeah. I was just actually down in Vegas recently, and I like throwing craps. I love throwing rocks. Don't necessarily have a lot of luck at it. I've kind of 50-50 whether I'm taking a couple bucks or losing a couple bucks, and I'm okay with that.
You play the line? You're just 7-11 type deal? Or
I play the pass line. I back up my odds, and I like to do a 6-8. And I'm also, I love, there's one bet that I love that on a $5 table, it's a $3 prop bet, and it's high-low yo. And I just like saying it when I have 3 $1 chips. I go, high-low yo, and I throw it to him, and that's 1, 12, or 11.
No
and it
kidding.
pays 30 to 1.
That's got to harden your nipples.
I love it
when you do it, you know.
And the other thing about a craps table, and I maintain this ever since I started playing, if you have good energy at a craps table, if everybody's into it, people are clapping when the guy's about to roll, people are talking, people are cheering and high-fiving.
Like the movies.
Those tables win money. And the tables where everybody's got their hand in their pocket and acting hard,
I'll be damned.
those tables always fucking lose. And I don't know whether that's just me and the energy that I bring to the party, because I'm not afraid to stand out. If everybody's acting hard around the table, you know, let's go, Shooter. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. And I'll let them have it, and then they'll look at me like, can anybody shut this guy up here? I'll shut him up. 7 out, 7 out, 7 out. But then again, when I've got like a 90-year-old lady across the table sucking on an oxygen machine, high-fiving me.
Absolutely.
Everybody's printing money.
Oh, of course.
And so for me, I got on the craps table with the guy that I think was one of those dudes that knows how to throw the number that he wants.
Oh, no way.
And, dude, we won. I mean, the reason I feel like that is because he put his money on 6. He was on the button was on 8, and he just 6, 6, 6,
wow.
6. And then the one time he missed, it went 7. And the roll never got back to him before he left the table. But I was like, I'm saving all my money until it gets back to that guy, because it was uncanny. I've never seen it happen before. And he was very meticulous in the way that he picked up the dice, and always had him showing the same number, same motion. It was like watching a golfer putt. It's like he's done that 10,000 times, and he's so good at it. And I mean, yeah, like I said, printing money for a little bit, slapping high fives to people. I'm running around the table. You know, I mean, it's just a fun thing, and I feel like that. I don't know if there's anything to it like psychologically, but I feel like if you're having fun when you gamble, you're more likely to win than if you're sitting there upset about the money that you've got on the table.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't those the best odds in the house, or is that roulette?
That's blackjack.
Blackjack?
Blackjack is the best. Roulette is the
Okay.
worst.
Roulette is the worst, yeah.
Roulette's the worst, yeah. Blackjack is like a 49-51. Like, there's barely a house edge, but the way they mess with that is some casinos pay different odds on blackjack. Some
Yeah.
pay you 6-5. Some pay you 2-3. Some pay
Right.
you 1-2. It's just, or 2-1. And the cheaper casinos, like you go down on Fremont, you get great odds. You get $5 tables. You go up to MGM on the Strip, you get nothing but $20 a hand tables
Right.
and all 6-5 and just not good odds.
Wow.
And so, I've like, this was part of my childhood. My dad's always had a poker crew that meets once a week, and they play nickel, dime, and quarter games.
I was just thinking about this the other day. Nobody does that anymore. They'd rather play online.
And I would love to have a once a week poker group.
That would be so rad. I
And-
might actually smoke cigars if that happens.
Dude, I mean, and let's fucking make it happen, because I've had enough people now tell me that they would be interested.
That'd be...
That
Dude,
you could probably get something like that
I'd
together.
show up just for the fucking picture of that, because that looks so cool in my head right now, you know?
Let's do it, man.
It's Dano's playing goldfish over there, dude, and you go fish while everyone here is playing fucking poker. You got wasted on El Cimarron and Mr. and Mrs. T's again. He can't stop saying it has that made-from-scratch taste.
Oh, son of a bitch. My cheeks are starting to sweat.
And this is exactly what I wanted too. I mean, you know, like the whole catching up. This is why it's perfect you have this platform, and it's such a great idea, especially like we were talking about in a day and age where people become more reclusive, excuse me, and they seclude themselves into these like you still have your phone. You still kind of reach out to, you send memes to people that you're keeping in touch with, if anything. That's when you know you matter to somebody. Mm-hmm. If someone sends you a fucking meme that says, hey, I thought of you. Fuck, man. You know, it's like, hey, how you been? Let me send you one back. Let me send you the laughing emoji with the tears coming out of my face. You know? But when you don't, because there's everybody else in it, and you start thinking about it and you say, well, everyone else has their own lives going on. And, you know, it's not so much that you're going to be a burden, but it's like, you know what? Can't wait to run into them in that one situation in life where our paths cross again. You know, it's because it's like after spending this much time with you already, it's like, fuck, man, haven't skipped a beat. There's an endless amount of fucking things we can talk about because you know, and then things keep rushing through my head because I have my own little mental notes that I've been keeping. I'm like, okay, I gotta ask him when he's gonna pop out a little Marcus. I gotta ask him how his drums are doing. I gotta ask him how the marriage is going. I gotta ask him how the podcast is coming along. Who does he have coming up? Like now all of these things are rushing back, and I'm like, okay, now I get a chance to hang out with this person, and you know, so I started thinking about stuff like that. So you could take pick of any of the ones that I just mentioned. Let me know at any time here, man.
Well, the marriage is going great. I have an amazing wife who supports me in this venture, which
is beautiful.
It's really hard when you go, I'm going to start a podcast to make money, and everybody goes, well, you're going to start a podcast.
You're good.
And she knows that, and she's been, I mean, first of all, she's awesome. She's a super hard worker. She's got a great job, and that helps a lot. Obviously, the money that was made in cannabis was obviously something else that was instrumental. If I'd have still been doing radio, there's no way that those 5 years would have funded this, you know?
Right.
And so I'm super fortunate in that, right? So the marriage is awesome. We are not going to have biological children of our own.
Are you guys going to adopt?
I don't think so. I think that
you guys are going to get cats then.
We've actually got these two little corgis right here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, isn't one named Barf and Fart or something like that?
How did you know that?
Is that their names?
Well, no. So actually, this is Detective Elliot Stabler.
Yes.
And this is Lieutenant Dan.
Luch.
But we call them Barf and Shit because this one barfs all over and this one shits all over. So that's
now. Do they respond to those names?
No, I mean they'll respond to anything if you've got a treat in your hand.
Of course.
You know. But I mean they have, dude. I'm weird like this. Like his name is Detective Elliot Stabler, but his nickname to me is Bean. I just call him Bean all the time, and I don't know why I call him Bean. He's like he's my little Bean. He's my little guy. Like I just
because he's brown.
No, it's because this is Dan Bean too. I call Dan Bean.
And speaking of brown, your dog on the right looks like, and now that's shit, right?
Yes, the black one is shit.
Black one is now that looks like the typical wedding photo of a Mexican wedding right there. That's how they all look in that photo.
One smile and one
One's smiling
deadpan.
and one's dead serious. Like this kid, are we done? Can we get this picture over with?
Who's dead serious most of the time? Is it the bride or the groom?
You know what? Honestly speaking, both.
It's right down the middle.
It's right down the middle. Like I've tried to get my dad to take pictures, and then he'll be smiling, having a good time. You bust out the camera, and he goes, and it's just it's stonewall when he sees that phone come up.
Yeah.
I got to get candid ones when he's smiling and make it look like I'm just looking at my phone.
Well, yeah, just
you guys have the 2 dogs.
We got the 2 dogs. Ashley, and she's okay with me talking about this, so I don't want anybody feeling comfortable. She had cervical cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And she's in total remission. She has no cancer, but they did have to perform a full hysterectomy.
I understand.
And that was a thing. We were at the time of our lives where we were honestly thinking about having children, and the doctor said, "Listen, you have to do this now because to keep the cancer from spreading, we have to do your hysterectomy very soon."
Yeah.
And I told her, because this is how I feel, 100%. I said, I am not going to sacrifice your health for something that could be.
Right.
If you want to do that, then you can make that decision and I will live with it. I'm fine with that. But if you want to take your health and make it a priority, then that's what I want. Because you're here now and I have you. We can make a kid, but if I don't have you anymore, then that's a real hard go for me, and I don't want to not have you. I want you. Yes, of course I will have one of those.
Woo.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Wow, I am.
So Ashley and I, we just decided, I have an uncle that has lived in Hawaii since he was 25. He's married over there. They have no kids. He plays golf all the time. He runs his business. He loves life. And then I have uncles with like 8 kids that also do everything that they want and love their life. And what I realized is I can look at this on both sides of the equation and know that I'm going to be fine whatever we decide to do. As long as we have one another, we'll be okay. And so we were comfortable making that decision. And, dude, to be honest, like, she actually got a little bit of flack from some of her friends. It was like, oh, what, you're not going to have kids? Like, I thought you were going to have kids.
Wow.
And it really, it kind of opened our eyes to the way that people go about these decisions. A lot of people make these decisions because they think they have to rather than they get to.
Right.
And I was really happy that Ashley and I were able to just talk about it and be really comfortable in the decision that we made. And now we know she's healthy. She doesn't have to worry about this big C word anymore. That's really, really fucking terrible.
Oh, man.
So she, happy, healthy, love our dogs, get to take them all the same places we take kids except for Disneyland.
That's perfect.
And
then they'll loosen that up too before you know it.
Probably.
Like, they'll have their own fucking amusement park before you know it.
Well, I mean, corgis might be the first ones with that because these are meme dogs right here. I mean, they're like living with 2 fucking cartoons, Dano. They do something
so awesome.
Funny or stupid all day. Yep. And I mean, even if they're on the couch, they'll be laying there with all 4s in the air and their tongue hanging out. It's like,
Corgis are awesome. I've also seen that anyone who owns a corgi usually winds up having more than one.
Yep. Yeah.
They wind up, and that's the only dog they'll ever have. Like people with Rottweilers is the same thing. Like you'll never see him with any other dog after that. And
I think that it's a thing. I thought growing up I had wiener dogs, dachshunds, and loved them. Had 3 of them over my childhood, and I thought for sure I'll only ever own a dachshund until I met a corgi, and I thought.
You have something for short legs, don't you?
Dude, I'll bring it full circle for you because I also love yellow labs. My dad has had a couple yellow labs. My best friend in the world has 2 yellow labs. They're great dogs. And I always thought when I met this first corgi, I was like, dude, that corgi is a dachshund in a lab's body without the legs. They're goofy like a lab. They're short and long like a dachshund. They have a personality that's way bigger than any dog their size. Oh my goodness!
They sound that like they look like they're an uppity British person. Always at all times.
You can tell.
Hello, what's up?
You can tell they come from the royal bloodline. There's no question about it.
We gonna play with anything today? I can show you where the foxes are.
You're better at that accent than I thought, man. That's really good.
I have always loved voice work. Always. Like didn't I ever send you like voicemails and like do different voices? Because I always did that.
You might have called the program just live. And done live is what happened.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
Yeah.
Like especially Arnie, my Arnie impression, just like especially going through the radio, something about those old school phones and the way the radio would pick up my voice.
Fidelity.
It was perfect. Like you'd have to question. I would question myself. It's like, is that really fucking Arnie, dude? And I was like, I did the fucking thing, dude, you know?
Yeah, and that's a tough one to do anymore. You know, you get canceled doing an Arnie impression if you're not careful, right?
Fuck you.
Oh, that Arnie. I thought you were doing Arnie from Fried Green Tomatoes, Arnie. Okay. So
Oh, my God.
I think that's Artie, actually, now that I'm thinking of
Yes.
Oh, well, don't cancel the podcast, please. It doesn't matter. Nobody's listening.
Man.
So, okay. Pulling myself together here a little bit. I'm trying to get through the questions. The podcast, it's going great. The marriage going great. We're not having kids.
Good.
The drums, like I said, I've become a collector. I don't know if you see them over there, but those Zildjian Z Customs,
how's that ride treating you? Look at that thing.
That is the newest one of the selection, and I love the extra 2 inches on that thing. I only had a 20 before, dude.
I'd love an extra 2 inches, man.
Wouldn't we all? I'm 5'8" over here.
This is a good time, man. It's got to be something about the ice and the Mr. and Mrs. T's, because after all, it tastes like it's home. It's made from scratch. Yeah, absolutely. It tastes like it's made from scratch, man.
So,
but okay, so you have the. Those are what, Z Customs?
They're all Z Customs, and they stopped making those damn cymbals, man. They were a punk rock and metal masterpiece because they held up.
Let the hype beastum begin.
Yeah.
Can't make them anymore. Rad. Let's see what they're at on StockX in about 6 months.
Oh, this is years ago that they stopped making them.
Right.
So I've been actually that whole set right there. I've had to procure one cymbal at a time off of eBay and Craigslist.
Is that the same kit that you were using back in the day when you were playing?
I just got that kit. You
you
and
had
I
a white
played together. No, I had a red one.
You had a red one.
It was wine red, like my Electron kit here.
Okay.
But it was a Pearl export, so it was just a little 5-piece.
Oh, got it.
I got this one. You remember when we played at the Black Forest with We Have Guns and Athiarchists and my band Hero Explains the Ghost?
Yes.
It was like a sellout. One of the times that there was more people in there than there ever should have been.
You dressed up like Carmelo Anthony back in the day. How Carmelo Anthony dressed up, dude. You had the headband going on and the wristbands going on. I mean, it was like Iverson was out there,
dude. And I come from that punk rock age where if you didn't have 9 armbands and 3 belt buckles, you can't even fucking be on this stage, dude.
You had to make a stop by Hot Topic and get some of those plastic bracelets.
Dude,
50 of them.
Yes, I looked like somebody threw me into a Hot Topic, and I just rolled around, and whatever stuck to me is what I came out with.
So beautiful.
But yes, you're right. I did have the headband because I'm like you. I am a sweating machine when I play the drums.
People, they've always said, the shirtless thing, like that's, what's that? They think it's something else, and it's like, dude, like. I want a dry shirt when I get done playing, and laundry, especially when you start touring and you have shirts that are that sweaty night after night, and they're just sitting in this van,
just festering,
just like and that's where the Athiarchist smell came from. Going back to it, because we used to have our own aroma.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that was because we just played and sweat, and we didn't do anything but play and sweat.
Yep.
That's all, and drink.
And the cool part about knowing you back then and being at some of your shows is that you, as a fan of the Athiarchists, you got to have the aroma too, because you were always dishing out free hugs after the show.
That's right.
And so it was.
People would walk away looking like they just went through a Jurassic Park ride on the front. It's like you'd have my imprint of a hug. You'd have the wet handprint with the forearm on the back, and that should be like a shirt. We should make a shirt like that.
That would be great.
That
just
would be so awesome. Just a sweat-stained hug shirt from the Athiarchists. You get one with Aaron and you get one with Dano. It's got a boob sweat underneath it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some people are into that though. That's what they love. They're like, oh, come here, because they're just so excited. They're so hyped. And I can't wait to get back to live music. That'd be great, or whatever variation there is from it. But we haven't been inspired because it was very hard to get inspired. Like, I like to drink when the times are good or when I'm hanging around good people. And man, for a while there just weren't any good times. Yeah. So it was real hard to drink, real hard to play music, do anything fun. Like, I got real into fighting, fishing, racing, and all on a video game.
Okay. Sounds like a world traveler, but no, it's just right there in my living room.
Just one place. Yeah, I didn't have to fucking go far. But disc golf, I'm big into disc golf, big into actual. I like to go bass fishing.
Yeah, I love bass fishing, man. It's like fighting a little mini marlin every time one of those things. One of those things bites. It's
They get
fun.
so pissed. They get so angry.
Well,
like
it's because you caught them when they were literally just defending their territory. Like that's all.
right,
So
or like, oh, you're hurt. I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? It's like you got this frog that's out there just trucking along the water, and it's like I don't give a fuck what you are. I'm gonna fucking eat you, and I'm gonna make it dead. I'm gonna make it look really bad. I'm gonna come out of the water and flip my fucking fins and let you know I'm just gonna swallow the shit. Jonah and the whale, bitch. Jonah and the whale, and just fucking. I named my frogs Jonah. Got off of that because
that's awesome.
And then you just catch them, and then you see them splash out of the water. The thing that makes me feel bad is when they come up and the hook's way down in their gills. I fucking hate that.
I think everybody does, unless you're just a dickhead.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to hurt you're not out there to hurt something.
And
you're out there to sport and to catch and to eat. You know?
If I see another fucking YouTube influencer holding a fucking bass out of water for minutes at a time to take your fucking selfies, put the motherfucker back in the water if you're gonna catch and release,
right.
or put him somewhere where you know what I mean. You're already doing enough by hooking the motherfucker and dragging him right out. And then me and my roommate were talking about this one. Imagine what fishing would be like with humans. You know what I mean? Because I used to thank the fish when I would get them, and he goes, "That's fucking weird, dude."
Yeah. Right?
Like,
imagine if you had a hook in your mouth.
Hook in your mouth. Like, there's a stack of money laying on the ground with a line on it, and you go to grab it, and you just get taken out to this other world. Some fucking alien goes, "I got one."
You can't breathe.
You can't breathe. Right? And they just want to take pictures, and then they go, "Thank you."
And you're like, ah!
And they send you back.
Or they club you in the head.
Or they club you. Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is a big one. Fuck him up. You know, we're eating that one.
Yeah, boy, I had never thought of it that way, but I get it.
I have not thanked a fish since. If anything, because we go night fishing, I'll have my roommate take his lure and dangle it in front of the fish. Now, you see this motherfucker? You tell all your friends about it when you go back in there, and then I throw him back in. Threaten them, you know.
Yeah, man, it's I always have. See, I'm a hunter too, and I've been fortunate to take down some elk in my life.
Oh,
and
man.
I always have a moment with the game, but I don't have that moment while it's still like in the throes of death. Like,
holy shit! Yeah.
Normally we're hundreds of yards away, and you aim
Right.
to have one shot and a clean kill.
Yeah.
And so by the time we get up there, then I just, have my little moment. Thank you. You're going in the freezer. I'm not buying beef for a year.
You do the Brad Pitt thing. Do you cut the heart out and
I've seen people do that shit.
Oh my god!
And look, I understand. You think you get the essence of the animal or what? It's very barbaric because they just cut the knob of the bottom of the heart off and just throw it in their mouth when it's still warm from the animal.
That is so gnarly.
And it's never been like, I have a tremendous respect for the game because I know. After doing it for so many years, I've been hunting since I was 12. I'm 36. I've killed 2 elk.
Wow.
They've beat me 24 fucking times out there, and I've won twice. So I have this giant respect for the game.
Right.
And that to me is a little bit humiliating.
For the game, like you mean like the game, or
For
is it
for
a
the
game?
animal.
Okay,
I have respect for the animal.
Okay, got it.
The animal is better than me at what we're doing, and they win most of the time, if
They're
not
just
all.
trying to live, man.
Exactly.
This ain't no fucking game for them.
Yeah, we're in their environment too,
Yeah.
and it's something that it's physically demanding. It can be emotionally demanding at times
For sure.
because you can go out there for years and not see anything.
Holy shit, you're the predator to these things.
I kind of am, unfortunately. But I feel like if the predator would have killed one of those army guys and then ripped his heart out and ate it in front of all of his friends, I feel like that's like an extra degree of disrespect.
Oh, right.
And I know that the
Didn't
native
he take
people,
their spines though?
extra degree of disrespect. Dude, you didn't have to do that. You could have just zapped him with your
could've
lasers.
just zapped him and called it good, but
Which
you
is what I do.
took
I
their
zap an
skin
elk.
off. And,
I do that because I need the meat because I'm trying to eat.
but you don't do it while they're alive.
So what, do you just fish to fuck with them? Is that
I fish to fuck with. Yes, actually, when I'm stoned as shit and I'm out there, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Because when I catch him, I feel bad. But you know what I mean? When I get him, when I lip him, I feel bad. But when I'm catching him, I'm like, fuck yeah, you little fucker, dude. You eat that fucking thing, dude. I get pissed off. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes, I do, because I let them go, and I thank them. Well, not anymore, but I used to.
Hey, if you want me to quantify it in that way, most of the elk I've hunted in my life,
You eat.
let go.
Oh,
The 2 that I've killed are the only 2 that didn't get away. Every
my
other one
God.
of them got away. So that's kind of, I'm
that's
fishing
good.
from the opposite end.
so I mean,
of the
when
success
you're
spectrum.
approaching this animal and you know for sure it's dead, there's no moving.
Mm-hmm.
Is there still something in the back of your mind that's like, this motherfucker's gonna kick me? He's gonna come to life. He's
Always
gonna
has
fuck
been.
me up.
Always has been, and there is a technique that I learned at a very young age because I was excited to run up to one of my dad's or uncle's deer that he
man.
had downed, and it hadn't been down for very long.
Oh no.
And I got excited, and my dad stopped me, and he's like, "Listen, it's not moving, and we can go up there, but you have to watch me in the way I do this." And you typically, obviously, they're going to be laying on their side once they're finally dispatched, and you walk up from behind, towards their spine, kind of, and you will take a stick or if you have a rifle or an arrow, and just put it right in front of their eye. And they can't go backwards from that position. They can only go up.
Can only go up.
And so, or roll over. And so if that eye's open and they're playing dead, because some animals will
do that,
but that's why you don't run up to them and threaten them and make them feel like that. You give them time to.
Oh man.
If you have to, and I mean, most of the time, when you get a clean shot, like the one I just took down 2 years ago, it was 339 yards. And the thing was dead within 2 seconds after I pulled the trigger. And I know that because when we gutted it, we field dressed it, the heart was cleaved in half.
You were 3 football fields away?
Yeah, plus a little bit more. Almost 3.5.
You're kidding me.
And it was one shot. It went right through the heart, which is perfect. It was instant. My uncle, who's been hunting for years, was up on a hill watching, and he said with his binoculars, he goes, that thing was dead on its feet, is what they say, because the blood pressure dropped so intently that it had no, and so it just went down. But we still sat there for 5 minutes with binoculars on it and scopes on it and watching. And the other thing that you're doing there is if there's a herd around it, you let the herd clear out a little bit too. You don't have to. It's already probably been a little traumatic, to be honest. Just the noise was probably really scary because they only hear that for a couple weeks a year. And other than that, it's relatively, nobody's going after them. They might be going after something adjacent.
Right.
But without getting too much further into this, I know it's kind of interesting to some people, but other people it really bothers. And I try to be as humane as possible with as much respect for the game and the land that I can. And we use everything. I mean, like I said, Ashley and I can
the best part.
Give away a quarter of an elk that I kill and still eat for a year plus. I still have that meat from 2 years ago. We're getting down to the bottom of it, but I've got plenty. I mean, it's meals. So
what's your best meal to prepare with elk?
The backstrap. See, elk is very, very, very tough, and like it's 20 grams of protein per gram of fat.
Oh, wow.
So, and beef is like a 4-to-1 ratio. So there's not much fat in elk.
Yeah.
So the most tender cuts are the ones you want, and that's going to be the backstrap or the tenderloin, but I prefer the backstrap. You butterfly a nice backstrap steak. You do it up just on a cast iron pan with olive oil, garlic, and capers.
Okay.
You get a good little fry on the edges. It's not going to brown up and crisp up like the outside of a beef steak is. Unless you cook it really hot, which is not a good idea because it gets too dried out at that point in time. I like to cook it kind of slow, not really depend on the crust as much as the actual flavor of the meat. Do that up with some roasted potatoes and a salad, man. It's fucking great. But the burgers, I mix the burger, which it's basically ends up being 90% elk and 10% beef fat.
Oh,
so it's 90-10 lean, so I'll throw like an 80-20 or a 60-40 beef in with it and mix that together. You have some of the best burgers you'll ever fucking have, dude.
Put that sumbitch on a 351 Cleveland. You got yourself a new race time, man.
Oh my God, that's fucking funny, Dano. Jesus Christ.
Right on, man. Well, I mean, I'm glad things are going well for you. This is exactly what I thought would be happening with you. You know, there's people that you talk to and you get kind of disappointed. It's like, fuck, man, what the fuck happened to you? You know, like, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do? Kind of thing. But then there's some people you see. It's like, fucking A. I feel like I just watched a damn good movie. You know, like, and that's good to see.
That's it. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And I feel the exact same way because I've known you for long enough to know that's that wasn't going to happen to you. But after COVID, even the people that I knew that about, like the people that have never told me I've lost the passion, or the people that say, I can't get out of this hole, or you don't know what's going to happen to them after a year like COVID when they can't do what they like to do. And
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to see you still smiling and everything, and the same energy that you've always had.
Well, a lot of fucking shit has happened to me, dude. Like,
is this National Enquirer shit, or is this like you can talk about it on the podcast?
Oh, I could talk about it. Yeah,
well,
I
let's
could
hear it.
All right. Well, basically, let's see. Going back, how far do we want to go back? Okay, so I took a break from the Athiarchists and went down to Southern California for about 2 years when nobody saw me, and everyone started having rumors that we had broken up, the Athiarchists, and I was working at a warehouse down in Southern California for a home improvement fucking chain that is orange. And
Lowe's.
Correct. Oh, they hated that word there. It was so fucking hilarious how much it was like nails on a chalkboard. Like there was some managers that would put the hands on the ears and like you couldn't say that fucking name, But I was working there and I was miserable because then again I was without music and I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and it was a bad relationship. I had no business being with this person.
Yeah.
and it still just convinced myself, made it work. We were living together. What the fuck was I going to do? And then one night had a dream where, excuse me, one of my coworkers who doesn't smoke weed in real life, but he shows up and I have some fucked up dreams that I always remember. I don't know what it is, but if we have similar brains, something tells me you got some of them dreams yourself,
They stick out like a sore thumb, dude, and I don't remember any of the rest of my dreams, but those ones stick out like they stick out like I have a problem.
Oh my God. Right? Like, what the fuck is the matter with me? Yeah. And so my coworker in my dream comes up to me and goes, "Hey, fool, I want to take you to my friend's house so you can smoke some weed with him." And I'm like, "All right, cool, man. That's really cool of you. You don't smoke weed, but you want me to meet your friend, go to his house." We get into this house, and I round the corner where this couch is, and it's Jack fucking Nicholson in the middle of a story. And I look to my coworker, and I'm like, is this the guy you want me to meet? He goes, "Yeah, fool." So I'm like, holy shit. So I walk around, I'm like, "Hey, Jack, I'm Dano. Nice to meet you." He goes, "You thirsty?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I go to sit down, and he goes, "Fridge is over there." I'm like, "All right, cool, dude." So I get up, and there's this fridge I open. There's 3 fridges, and I open up this first fridge, and there's like a half-eaten sandwich and like a 2-liter of Pepsi in there. I'm like, okay, that's Jack's fridge. I'm not touching anything out of there. He took a couple bites out of a sandwich. A guest came over. Now he's got to do cocaine and, fucking hang out with people. So then I open the second fridge, and there's like wall-to-wall juices and waters and shit like that. I'm like, okay, not beer. So I open up the third one, all these beers. So I'm like, I grabbed a Bud Light because I was the can color that there were most of. I didn't want to take anything that was like only 6 or something like that. I wanted what the regular people drink, and a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because, what if I get thirsty and I want another one? At least I know that there's another one there and I'm not taking away from anybody.
And with domestic beers, once the first one goes back, just all bets are off.
Yeah, just don't pee.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
Right. How many of them do you want? How many do you have?
How many do you Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. So I go back and I sit down, and as obviously you can see, I'm a huge Lakers fan. And I sit down with them, and we're passing this bong back and forth, and we're talking about everything from life, the Lakers, like all the greats in basketball. And then someone breaks his bong, which I'm like, I have to fix this. I'm a guest in this house, and I'm going to get blamed for it. It's going to be somehow my fault. I have to make this right. And then another coworker just barges into the house and goes, "Dude, second shift is here, and they want to fight." I'm like, "You guys want to fucking do this now, dude?" Like, I'm hanging out with Jack Nicholson trying to fucking figure out the meaning of life. I got the lotus flower in my fucking hand, and you guys want to do this now? Let's go stomp these motherfuckers and make this fast, because I got some hanging out to do. So I go outside, and the fucked up thing is I can see everyone's face, and there's everyone from second shift, because you see them when you're passing, when your shift ends and they show up. So I see everyone's face, and we're right about to Braveheart the shit out of this dream, dude. Like we are wall of deathing it, and we're getting close, and someone grabs my fucking arm, and I hate that shit. And I jerk my arm, and I look over, it's Jack, and he goes, "You want to go for a walk?" And I go, yes, I would. So I go on this walk with Jack Nicholson, and that's my chance. I get to ask him something. Like, I have a feeling where I get to ask anything in the fucking world. So I'm like, how do you do what you did in the movies and your name and make it Jack Nicholson? Like, how do you do that? And be one of the greats? How do I be one of the greats? And he goes, with no hesitation, he giggles and he goes, you just got to be there and do it. You can't force yourself to do it. You can't make yourself do it. You can't train yourself to do it. You have to be there and do it. And it fucking blew my mind.
It's like a line from a Jack Nicholson movie. Like,
No shit. And when I tell you, I hadn't thought about Jack Nicholson in at least fucking 1 year. I hadn't speaked his name. I hadn't thought about him. Like, he fucking manifested it in my goddamn dream somehow, some way. And I don't know. You know, I'm not that religious. I'm very spiritual. But there's something in me that says that if there was a God, that motherfucker probably would have came down to me as Jack Nicholson in a dream and said some shit like that. You know what I mean? That's exactly how the motherfucker would work if I had any view of what could be anything. You know? So it blows my mind. And then we're walking towards this amusement park, and I could already tell it's Jack's place. This is his place where he doesn't take people. He goes there. He doesn't take anybody. So I've asked the question for him not to, you know, end the date right there and say, well, fuck your walk, go fight, you know. And we get to this gate. And mind you, he's still talking, but I'm like, okay, I'm putting two and two together. And I really don't care for roller coasters. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to tell him after being so thankful and giving me this information. I'm thinking about how I'm going to tell him I don't like roller coasters. So he's still talking, but I'm thinking about this. Like we were talking about the sitting in the car listening to the song and thinking about being in this moment and,
right.
and you know, stuff like that. So all of a sudden he stops talking. He goes, "You going to hit the button so we can go through?" And I hit this button and this gate opens and he sits in this fucking roller coaster car. And he goes, "Well, you getting in or what?" And I go, "Jack, I don't know how to tell you this, but I fucking woke up."
Oh no, you fucked up your own dream.
So what happened was I was so scared. Oh, I sounded like Van Damme. I was so scared.
You have to be doing the splits.
Yeah. Suck security's dick right now. I want to suck his dick. That's it.
Boy, you want to talk about cocaine? That's Van Damme, right?
That's fucking A. Fucking A. Yeah, Chris D'Elia, D apostrophe Leo,
Yeah,
whatever. However,
D'Elia.
yeah, thank you. He's so fucking right about that. I cannot see Jean-Claude Van Damme the same way after seeing that video, and he's like, he looks like he has like the darkest sexual fantasies. Like,
oh, dude, and it's like you look at the guy, and as a fighter, you think facial injuries probably came from fighting, but not that guy. Whatever he's done to his face has all come from what he's put inside of it.
Botox, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's, and I heard he had like, I mean, he didn't have like an Artie Lang nose, but he had a pretty bad one from what I understood. So.
Years of pornography.
So anyway, you were so scared that you woke yourself up.
No, I was so scared that I stopped listening to anything else he was saying, and it prevented me from learning any more valuable things I could have possibly learned, all because of fear. And then when I go to break it to him, it's like he didn't even give me a chance. He's like, "No, fuck you. I'm out. Roller coaster's going. Bye." Wow. You got everything you needed to know off of that. Well, whatever you could take. It was like drinking from a fucking fire hose. You know, when you get that kind of information. Ever since then, it changed my perspective. But then I've done some acid.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I mean?
I hear that'll change your perspective, too, from
Holy
time to time.
shit, especially when you think one of your best friends is the angel of death and they send him down to fucking take you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, it went real sideways.
Is he okay?
We call it the rear naked choke. I was naked, and I tried to choke him out because I thought he was the angel of death. And the only reason why I stopped was because I didn't see an ice sword or a fucking sickle come out or any powers or anything like that. And then I had a brief moment of clarity where I was like, holy shit, I'm on acid naked choking out my best friend. And I let up. And, like, it's so weird to think about how that changed both of us and our relationship as friends, because a lot of people would have said, there's something fucking wrong with you. Bye. But the circumstances that were happening at the time, I was watching over an illegal, like a gorilla grow.
Oh, wow.
Like 54 plants. My grandfather had just died.
That's so you're just high stress. You just weren't in a place where you should have been doing acid, probably.
Yeah. And the fucked up thing was, he goes, because we had this Bluetooth speaker and we were watching the sunrise. He goes, you know that song you made fun of? We're going to listen to it right now, and it's going to be your favorite song. Oh, he was right. To the point where I was like, oh, shit. He knows. He knows I would have liked this song, and it's so beautiful, but I made fun of it. And now it's like a hint of what's coming. And then I look over, and he's wearing a hoodie. He's wearing like this Mastodon hoodie that has the Emperor of Sand on the back. So it's this skeletal face with a crown and garb and just looks real Angel of Deathy. And that just gets implanted in my head while I'm listening to this song. I'm like, well, I'm going to die. I guess I don't need this anymore. And I take my clothes off. And then I start free peeing where I'm at, trying to let go of my body. And we're overlooking all these plants that have like trellis. I don't know if you know what trellis is. But
Is that the stuff that's over the top of them?
Correct.
Yeah.
The netting.
Yeah, the netting.
So it's like covered there, and there's no walking through like anything like that. So I look over, and then I'm coming to this realization, and then my friend looks over at me and goes, "You want another beer? You want another cigarette?" I'm like, motherfucker's just being polite, but in my mind, that's not what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing, you want another thing that brought you here closer to me?
God, you're scaring me right now.
So then I stand up and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And my friend's like, what? And he's got his hood up too, so it doesn't make it look any better. And I go, I'm ready to go. And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, yeah, sun's coming up that way, so that means we walk that way, right? That's where the gates of heaven are. I don't say gates of heaven, because that would be dumb. That would be redundant. You're dealing with the angel of death here, idiot, and you're going to fucking die. All right, sun's that way. Well, that would mean I would have to walk through this weed field with trellis. So he goes, no, you can't go that way. Well, he meant you can't walk through the trellis, you naked idiot. That's not what I heard.
Right. You weren't hearing anything he was saying at this point.
Correct. I heard you can't go that way. You got to go
the other way.
The other way.
Right.
And that freaked me out. My body went cold, which gave me a bad jolt, and thinking, oh, here's the process. Here's how it happens. You go cold, and then he fucking pulls out his ice sword or his goddamn sickle, and he comes fucking reaping your soul, So I start walking away while I was taking care of the grow dude's fucking pit bull that was a mountain lion of a pit bull and had his ears cropped. So the sun hadn't quite been out yet. So there's a shadow of this fucking dog on a leash that has these pointy ears. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling me I got to cross the hound of hell or I got to fight the angel of death to get out of this at all. So I turn around and I go to my friend and I'm like, all right, this ends now. And he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? I go, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I push him. And then that's when I got him in the rear naked choke. And the rest is history.
I'm just going to write that down as the worst acid trip in history.
Man,
Jesus Christ,
just as much as I learned from that Jack Nicholson dream, I learned so much more about myself after that. And just, what do you really want to know about yourself? What do you really think? I mean, there's all these times that we sit in front of people and we put on this fucking mask, no matter if you think you are or not. How many people are going to go on a podcast and talk about this kind of shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, not many.
But, I mean, it's like I've realized through that. That's why I said a whole lot of shit's gone down. I got a fucking blood clot, dude. That's in my leg as we speak.
Really?
Yeah. So when you tell me about your high blood pressure, I worry about you.
I'm medicating. I have been now for a few months.
What did they put you on?
Lisinopril.
Okay, I'm on Paxapan.
Yeah, and it's funny, dude, because I know so many people from this group of people that we used to be around that are on blood pressure medication right now.
Well, yeah, I'm on blood thinners.
Blood thinners, same, something like that for
Correct.
your heart.
For your heart, blood, yeah. I was doing trips to go take care of my mom and help her out with her dad, and excuse me, and she lives in Arizona, so I was driving out there because I wasn't taking planes, in the middle of COVID and shit. I must have looked. Well, I didn't quite look like, spacesuit getting out of the car to gas up or anything, but I mean, I'd pull the napkins out and not touch anything that everyone's touching, and making sure I'm not touching my face, even though I smoke cigarettes and shit like that, but
Right.
I had been, I don't get out of the car unless I'm at a gas station. Like, so I'm going 400 miles at a time, sitting down and then resting at rest areas, just putting my seat back and not even getting out and stretching. So that's how I developed a DVT, deep venous thrombosis.
Oh, man.
In my left leg. And the only reason why I knew is and this happened when I came back in February, I thought it was a muscle strain. And I was like, and I gave it 2 weeks. When I told the doctor that, he flipped out. He goes, "You went 2 weeks with this fucking blood clot in your leg, And the only reason why I knew is because I had done some drinking the night before. And I was like, all right, you know what? If it doesn't get any fucking better by tomorrow, I'll go to the hospital. Fine, And I woke up, and the pain was no longer right behind my knee. It had shot up to the inside of my thigh.
That's
so I'm
bad.
like, okay, looks like I'm going, and I could barely walk too.
Halfway closer to your heart.
Yeah, or lungs.
Yeah,
right. So I was like, okay, I'll go. And they put an ultrasound thing to me, and they said, "Oh yeah, you have a reasonable sized blood clot, right where you said." And the guy who did my ultrasound goes, "You're a very astute human being." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" And he goes, "Well, I judging by the way your legs barely swelled, I didn't think you really had a blood clot in there." So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, is that your fucking way of telling me you were wrong, you bastard, dude? Like, what the fuck?
Cancel my copay, God damn it.
And I don't have shit at the time. I don't have insurance or anything. And luckily, I got on the Oregon Health plan. But
Good.
Yeah, which was hilarious because I put in the information wrong online. And it said I was making like fucking $200,000 a year.
They're like, "Sorry, we're not helping you."
I'm like, "No, why are you doing this multiple times? Well, what do you keep asking us? Is this some kind of sick joke?"
Oh, that's fucking crazy, man. Well, I'm glad to hear that you made it through all of that without either, horrible bodily injury or jail time or something. I mean, you never know what could have happened in that fight, right?
Fuck, man, give me time. Shit, dude.
But you said it changed your relationship with that guy. I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
Are you guys still friends? You still hang out? Anything like that, or did he kind of bail on it a
Pretty
little
fucking
bit?
close. Like,
Really?
yeah, absolutely. And there was just something about it because we were talking about it. And he says, "You know what? One of my biggest fears is drowning or being choked." And he goes, "Honestly, in some weird way, I kind of got to thank you because
You helped him deal with it a little bit.
I'm not afraid anymore."
Yeah.
And it's so weird to think about that aspect where it's like, I've thought about this. Who are your friends? And what the fuck are they to you? Are they just some people that you hang around with and you just laugh? Are they people that you can share stuff with? Like, and it made me think about it because I hear about people that go to fucking therapy. And it's like, man, I got therapists all around me if I really fucking want them because, I mean, I want people to know who the fuck I am, like the ones that I'm close to, because I want to know who the fuck they are. Because I know how hard it is for someone to say, "Hey, man, I'm not okay." Rather it be pride, rather it be anything that you got going on in your life,
Right.
So it's just something where as much as I've in it, and how the fuck do you go back from saying, "Dude, I'm sorry I got naked and tried to choke you out,"
It's a pretty deep bond.
Dude,
Deeply forged.
You just don't send a fucking fruit basket and flowers, You don't ask for an address to send the postcard, It's like you're indebted to that person for fucking the rest of your life.
Hello, edible arrangements. Do you have it? I'm sorry I got naked and choked you.
I got naked and choked you out on acid.
It's like I feel like that have grapes in it.
I thought you were the angel of death. Yeah, it's got to have grapes.
Can you have the grapes maybe?
Yeah.
I don't want them to
Have
choke
them.
because
Yeah,
they
they're
choking hazards.
and shit. Yeah, maybe not anything like that then,
Yeah. Soft blueberries maybe?
Yeah.
You could kind of mush up.
Kiwis.
For God's sakes, no watermelon.
No
Please.
watermelon, please.
And no acid either.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Well, it's interesting you say that, man. I think about that, and I have a very close group of friends that I went to college with, and they're the guys that come back and watch football games. And
Yes.
one of them I even went to high school with, and I feel like any time of any day I could pick up the phone and call those dudes, and those are my therapists right there.
Those are your people. Absolutely. And that's what a fucking friend is. I'm tired of this pretentious way of thinking that you need fucking people on Facebook and how many numbers you have to fucking tell you how many friends you have.
Right. And also the value of a Facebook friendship is not even close to a real person-to-person bond.
I'm pretty sure you noticed my profile picture is still Kip Jordy, and I only got 3 friends on fucking Facebook.
I didn't notice that.
I deleted the fuck out of it. Dude, it got people pissed. Like,
yeah?
because I just kept unfriending people. One day, I had enough. And I just went through my Facebook, and I deleted everyone. It took about 5 shits and sitting, you know what I mean? Like, with your phones. And then all of a sudden, my phone locked me out of doing that on Facebook because it thought I was a fucking bot.
Really?
So now I still have people that are like showing up saying, "Oh, you're friends with this person." Not anymore. but it's definitely gotten some people pissed off. You know what the funny thing is when they come up and they go, "Dude, did you unfriend me on Facebook for like that thing that I said about you that I didn't think would get back to you like 6 months ago?" Like,
nope.
Jesus,
but yeah,
man.
the answer is no, but yes.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I mean, this is why, you know, but I mean, I didn't know that.
Right.
But for fuck's sake.
But hey,
people.
I mean, if people are going to share their true colors with you, by all means.
And that's how it fucking happens, is you doing something like that. Well, then, yeah.
Right. I'd rather know that about you sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And in some ways, you almost got to thank them.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is like that to me, some of my best, my wife one time shut her Facebook down like weeks before I even noticed. And then I was like, hey, how come we're not friends on Facebook anymore?
You pulled the Randy Marsh.
And she's just like, I shut it down a few weeks ago. I just forgot to tell you. And she's like, I just got sick of it. You know, I got sick of always pulling it out and kind of feeling like she was addicted to it. And that right there told me, it's like, okay, I think I'm in at least a better spot than people that are competing for numbers like that, because my own wife shut down her profile. And first of all, I didn't notice. And second, to me, it was kind of like, hey, why aren't we friends on Facebook? Like, it was kind of a funny thing. Like, I figured she was going to have a joke behind it. Is what I thought. I was like, oh, you pissed me off the other day when you were talking to such and such, so I just blocked you. I thought that was what was going to come out. And she's like, oh, shut it down. I was like,
shut it down.
Okay, well, I don't even feel like I didn't even feel it then, because the personal connection to me is everything. It has nothing to do with her online profile. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know, and especially during a year when we weren't allowed to be in a room together like we are right now by most municipalities, dude, that type of the personal bond, you have to rely on the text messages and the phone calls to keep that up, or the Zoom calls, because if that deteriorates, you might end up stuck in that social media well where you think that is where your friends are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you go to that for that dopamine hit.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like, what are we going to talk about, you know, because it's like, I already saw all your fucking updates.
Exactly. If
you
you saw my update today, you'd know that I was still being bitter about a Eugene Weekly award that they gave us, and then the write-up that they put in there.
Really?
It was really backhanded, and they were just dicks about it because they didn't like our show, you know. But that, like, I kind of use it like that. Like, if you saw that today, you wouldn't have a shit's clue about what I'm doing today. Like, of course, I promote the podcast and everything on kind of an ongoing, this is what I'm doing. But my main problem with being good at promoting myself on social media is that I don't feel like what I'm doing in a given day is important enough for me to be like, hey, it's over here. Hey, I took my dog for a walk. You know, who gives a fuck? Like, you see, bike ride, it's the same as every other bike ride you went on. We don't need a selfie. And I don't have the right mindset for it. I'm a millennial by age only. I literally feel like I'm more of whatever they are above me. Like, I think it's Gen X or something like that. Yeah. Because I get the technology. I can use the technology. I'm smart enough to navigate it and figure shit out.
Right.
But I don't have this inherent need to just tell everybody what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't need a fucking selfie every fucking few hours. You know what I mean?
It's really weird to me, but I also get, look, it was when we were doing the Donkey Show, that Facebook page had 20,000 followers.
Yikes.
I mean, that to me is huge. And you've got people out there now with 500,000, 2 million, 10 million.
Oh my God. Like, some of them for just doing weird ASMR shit. You
exactly.
know?
And how do you handle that if you're that person? You got to think you're the tweaker sitting at the slot machine and your head's about to blow off.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. What's a real connection at that point to these people? You know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that I think about. And then that is when I fucking unplugged and I said, fuck this.
Yeah, good.
And then, you know, another thing is just like letting things be, letting time take care of stuff. You know, like, we're all going to fucking die one day, you know? So it's just a matter of how it's going to happen. Like, you can watch after yourself and do everything you can in life, and then bam, someone runs a red light and fucks your whole world up, and then nothing else ever comes of it. Like, all that shit that you were going to do, all that shit that you were saving, all that stuff that, you know, in its pristine packaging means nothing anymore. Like, when I was visiting my mom, I had come out from a bar, and all of my shit was stolen out of my car, and my window was busted.
Oh, dude.
And it was my fault for leaving that shit in there like an idiot. But it was so late that I didn't want to keep the door open, wake up my mom. She has this fucking dog that barks to no end every time the door opens. So I was like, fuck it, I'll keep everything in my car. I had all my fishing gear in there in a PBR backpack. I had all my good disc golf discs, where we're probably in total about 10 of them. Some of them were like first run and real hype beast shit that I fucking wound up getting my hands on. And then a coat that my dad bought me when he thought that I was going to be moving to Australia after the whole fucking Fantasy Factory thing. And I was like, fuck it, I'm getting this royalty money in, so I'm gonna move to another fucking country. Fuck this. And Australia was just, I just pretty much in my head put a fucking dart to a map.
And you landed on the place where every animal on the face of the earth at that place wants to kill you.
9-to-1 female to male ratio.
And they love the American accent, I hear, too, down there. The Australian females love, because they get sick of listening to the Australian accent because that's all they hear a lot of the time.
And I wanted to bartend, so I mean, I
would have paled it in, dude. Jesus.
And then if I would have found a band or moved Aaron down there or did something with Aaron, Anyway, so a jacket he bought me. And was just like, for my dad to buy me something like that was his way of saying, I'm not always going to be there with you, but I'll be able to, provide you with some warmth if I can by getting you this.
Sure. So something that meant a lot to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put all of my fucking Lakers pins in one of the pockets because I'm a pin collector as well.
God damn it.
And it had my fucking weed in there.
It's like everything you do to escape. Your fishing pole, your discs.
Absolutely.
Your pins, and
absolutely.
Your weed. Yeah.
Everything.
And you were going through a real tough time then too, because you're helping your mom with one of your grandparents that was in bad health.
And then there's some National Enquirer shit that I can't talk about.
Sure.
But
understood.
But we'll it definitely didn't make it any fucking better.
Yeah, I bet.
I come out of this bar and there's a guy that's with his girlfriend making out by their car, and I come around the corner and they're like, "Oh, you own this car." Dude, someone bashed your window and took your shit. I was like, which way did they go? They went that way. So what'd they look like? It was like a Mexican dude with a baggy white shirt and baggy pants. And I was just so fucking heartbroken about everything that was taken that it didn't even cross my mind that those motherfuckers might have been the ones that took my shit.
You think now, looking back on it?
In retrospect, dude, like I didn't even bother looking inside of their car or anything. And they were just a little too
comfortable
with the situation and shit. You know what I mean? And and then I asked what they look like, and guy kind of shook his head and shrugged his shoulders and then just said it nonchalantly, like
super vague description that could be describing anybody walking down the street.
He could have looked behind me at some dude who just walked out of the bar and looked like that.
Right.
So I had to let go. Like, did I file a police report? Yes. Did the fucking officer that came out share the last name as my mom, ironically enough? Yes. Did I have to piss like a fucking racehorse? Yes. Like, and then I'm like, of course all this stuff would happen. Like, it's when you do acid and then the phone rings and it's your dad calling and you can't dodge this call because you dodged him 5 times and you have to answer it, but you're peeking and everything's just happening right now. And you're like, why is everything happening right now? Like, of all times for everything to happen, it has to be now.
Right now.
So I fill out the police report, and I feel so fucking foolish, man. I should have been putting on clown makeup, because it's like, sure, you guys are really going to be looking for half of the shit that I'm trying to describe to you in a police report.
Yeah. Dude, I've had that happen before, and I think the most disconnected and sad I felt about it, I was golfing a lot, and my dad had bought me golf lessons.
Oh.
And I had 3 golf lessons. He'd spent $100 on 3 golf lessons for me, and between the second and third lesson, my clubs got stolen out of the back of the Focus. And I called the cops. They came down there. I was sitting there with the lady. She was great. She took down all the information, and I said, so, I'm a college kid. Like, I'm not buying another set of golf clubs. I don't have that kind of fucking money.
Did you pull the Big Lebowski? So, you find many of these missing golf clubs, man? Or
that's what I asked her. I was like, so, what can I do? And she's like, you can go look at pawn shops for sure. She's like, you want to go around and look at pawn shops?
I found out that pawn shops hate that.
Oh yeah, they really don't like you being in there for that because it's basically calling their integrity into question right now.
Or if it happens to come in, they're like, nope, can't take any of that shit because I just had someone fucking call in and I don't want the fucking heat showing up here.
Right, because there's more in there that they don't want to explain.
Absolutely.
But she told me that I could go look for it, and I was like, okay, well, what are you guys going to do? And she goes, look, you're a nice kid, and I just have to tell you this. You're on campus right now. We're on 16th and Mill. There's nothing that gets stolen within a 40-block radius that gets found for the most part.
And there is nothing more helpless feeling than hearing that from a fucking officer.
Yep. The person that's supposed to be there
to help is just there as a formality to pat you on the fucking head and go, sorry, kiddo, your stuff's gone.
Yeah, make you feel better, basically, for a moment, just because
God.
They're there to placate you, essentially.
I fucking hate that feeling, man.
Yeah, and the thing is it's not like you can't blame that beat cop for it because they're not the beginning of the end of the problem. They're just in a system that predetermines that this is probably going to happen, especially in a college town.
Right.
And so it's such a bad, and it adds to that feeling of like, this was my thing. Like I thought I was getting better at golf to a point now where I'm actually going to go out and enjoy it. And fortunately, I was able to make something happen, and now golf is one of my favorite things to do. So I know that, this is all in the past and behind me, but that feeling when somebody takes your shit that's important to you is one of the worst. I mean, I've been through breakups that I thought I was going to marry that woman and didn't hurt as bad as when you go through that feeling.
You feel completely like just small, and it's like, fuck it, why fucking try to save anything ever again? Like this jersey, I thought I was never gonna wear it, and I was just gonna like frame it or something, or you know what I mean. But I'm like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna wear this damn thing.
Yeah,
and Lord help me if I ever had fucking figures that were sealed. No, we're opening them up. I'm taking a bath, and I'm taking them with me.
We're playing Transformers in the tub.
Straight up, dude. I got the swimming Donatello, man. There ain't nothing you can do to stop me. Fuck you, $50 eBay buy it now option. This is mine.
So I got two things left here. And by the way, I'd like to ask people this sometimes.
Yeah.
Without looking at your phone, how long do you think we've gone?
I want to say we've gone probably everything that we've talked about. Pushing the hour mark, hour 15.
Pushing the hour mark, hour 15. We're pushing hour and a half.
Hour and a half, yeah.
That's why it's a good conversation. If it feels that much shorter than what it actually is, then
definitely.
that means that time's flying. So that's just a little game I like to play.
Yeah, that's rad.
I only prepared one thing for you. Well, actually two things, but one clip today. And so,
all right. What do you got for me?
There. So do you remember a guy by the name of Bill London? He works at KPNW, the conservative talk radio station here in town. You might have run into him. He was the old curmudgeon that was down at the very end of our hall. So if you passed right past the K-Fly studio, you would get down to the corner there, and that was KPNW.
That kind of sounds... Oh, yeah.
Shorter dude.
Yeah.
I used to work for him part-time before I would come into the Donkey Show.
Yes.
Really nice guy. Great, probably one of the most down-the-middle dudes that I've ever heard on a conservative talk station, especially. And he's a host of the Wake Up Call. I had him on the podcast. We're talking about all sorts of different shit, and he just kind of steps in and he goes, "Can I tell my favorite Donkey Show story?" And I hadn't prompted him at all. And he proceeded to tell like a 10-minute long story that was just roll on the floor funny that has to do with the Athiarchists.
Oh, shit.
And I have a clip here for you to listen to because I thought it was the funniest fucking thing because of the subject matter. Now, one thing to understand before we get into this is that Bill, I kind of cut some of this out, but Bill makes a really good point in that when you talk management meeting in radio, it's a much different management meeting than your local carpet sales office, okay?
Oh, boy.
There are things that get talked about in a management meeting at a radio station, especially a radio station that employs a bunch of guys that do a show called The Donkey Show.
Okay.
They have to talk about things that you normally wouldn't hear. So I want you to imagine this. This is in our boardroom with the big table, and this is our GM talking to Carl, who you're very familiar with. Carl Sundberg.
Sparkling Carl.
Who was our program director.
Sparkling Carl.
Carl, who has also been on the podcast.
It's been a long time.
Here's the clip of what Bill had to say on the Man Room podcast.
He looks at Carl and he goes, "Carl, I thought that we were pretty clear on the idea that before any stunts were going to be happening on the Donkey Show, that they were not only supposed to go through you, but they were supposed to go through me." And Now, my ears are perking up because I'm like, obviously something didn't go through him. And I look over at Carl, and Carl is shrinking. And Carl is my friend. And Carl's starting to shrink. And yeah, we did have the agreement. So what the hell was that crap yesterday going on the Donkey Show? I don't recall that going through me. Now my curiosity is really piqued.
Because you want to know what we did.
I want to know. And Carl's like, well, they did go through. They told me. Well, why didn't you say something to me, God damn it? Well, I just, I thought that, it would be under control. Bullshit. You are supposed to come to me and tell me anytime that they are doing a goddamn stunt. At this point, everybody is sort of like staring off like they're not in the room. My first natural inclination is, what the fuck did they do? So I just go, excuse me. I said, just for clarification, can somebody please explain what it is that we're actually talking about here? Carl looks at me and goes, well, we have this guy that's on the show. He's from a local band, and he came in and asked us if we wanted to see him do a trick. Well, can you be more specific what the trick is? Well, he asked us if we wanted to see him set his dick on fire.
It was my balls.
And I'm barely able to keep from just busting a gut. And I'm just like, and then he's like, you could have set the goddamn studio on fire. And I put my hand up to kind of stop him because now I'm feeling for Carl because I'm seeing what's going on here. And I'm like, well, Carl, did you have any way that, you were going to keep that from getting out of control? Well, yeah, we had a plan in place in case, fire got out of control.
We had a couple of fucking soda cups.
Okay, yes. And this is what Carl says. Yeah, we were going to pour beer on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, okay. And Carl's like, well, he was standing over a garbage can, and we were gonna pour beer on him. If Larry, you're gonna add an explosion there. Oh, you're gonna put it out with fucking beer? What the hell? What is wrong with God damn it? He goes, this is bullshit. I'm writing them up. I'm writing you up. And Carl is sitting there, and at this point, I get to my point where I'm fed up with him beating up on Carl. And I look over at him going, can I say something here? I want to give my management input. And I said, okay. I said, I'm imagining that I'm sitting on my station, a conservative talk station, and I'm doing my show in the morning, and somebody comes in and says, you want to see me set my dick on fire? I am saying, fuck yeah.
That's all right,
do it.
Bill. That's
absolutely right. Do it. I said, I don't give a shit whether you like it or not. If somebody says they're going to come on my show and they're going to set their junk on fire, I'm going, damn straight.
Get
absolutely.
Some beer. Get some beer in case he can't.
Absolutely. Oh, no, it's that time of the morning. I'm throwing coffee on it. I said, I'm saying yeah. I said, who wouldn't? And he just sat there. The GM just sat there and stared at me. And I said, I'm telling you the truth. I said, any of these other people in this room don't have the balls to tell you they would do the same thing. I am. I don't blame them for doing it. I would do the same thing. Leave Carl alone.
You're a godsend, Bill. You know that? So that is the clip, and I cut it out, but I explained to Bill that it was actually your balls and that it was a dip thing. You had a mason jar of Everclear that you dipped, and then you would light.
Yeah.
And we had plenty of beer to put it out.
Oh, yeah. The process and how it goes down, too, it's just, there's no way. We were fine. we had enough beer, and the beer got drank, and nothing fucking caught on fire.
Yeah,
like,
everything was fine.
It's not like you had the fucking cinder circus inside of the studio. You know what I mean? And bless you, Bill. Thank you so much. Like, I love that attitude so much. The way he describes it and everything, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, it was, well, the way it started was we were at our friend's house, and the National Enquirer told me he was a part of the Metal Militia.
Oh.
And he lives in California, and we were staying at his house, and he's a really cool guy, real fucking down to earth, chill dude when he doesn't drink. You know, if he's drunk and we're outside and he's got a gas fire, he'll just pull out his dick and start peeing in the fire. You know what I mean? Just cause.
Just because he feels like it.
Yeah,
just
you
because
can
he
be
can.
in the middle of a story, and then he's like still peeing and go, wow, that's really trippy, dude. You know? Like, well, that's just when he drinks, though. He's a really great guy, though. Like, I love him. I got so many stories that the National Enquirer would love to tell you about.
I bet. So you just
my God.
had to light your balls on fire for this guy? Or?
So, yeah, it started, we had some Everclear, and we were drinking, and our friend goes, we're on tour, and he goes, I'll give you fucking 6 Metal Militia t-shirts if you light your fucking balls on fire, dude. Like, just because out of nowhere. Or you know what? He didn't say if you light your balls on fire. He said if you put it in this, and he had like this crystal wine glass that had gold rim on it, and he filled it with Everclear. He goes, dude, you dunk your balls in this, I'll give you 6 Metal Militia t-shirts.
That's free. That's free clothes.
Done. Like, yes. You said the wrong thing to the right hombre, dude. Like, yeah. So I put my balls in, and he grabs the chimney lighter, and he goes, okay, now it's the fun part. And he starts chasing me around with that. I'm like, fuck you, dude, get away from me. You know, like, that could fuck you up.
Oh, yeah,
All right, now that can burn down a fucking house quicker than Left Eye.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Queen.
And we
He
mean
fucking
that.
cheated. You know what I mean? Like, fuck you, Andre Rison. That's who it was, wasn't it? Andre Rison's home?
Yeah, fast enough to outrun most men in the league, but not Left Eye.
No. Better grab them fucking jerseys and J's or whatever the fuck you collect in there. Spawn characters. I don't know what the fuck you got. Your fishing tackle.
I think
Get your
it's-
disc out.
Yeah, lots of jerseys back. Lots of Thurman
Yeah.
Thomas jerseys. I
Oh
would
my
hope.
God, yeah.
He was a badass.
Can you imagine some of that shit that's like going for buku? But like, I remember I had a pair of Jordans that my grandfather gave me because he didn't like them. He didn't like them at all for working out. And he just bought them because they were an athletic shoe. I wore them to school. I fucking thrashed those things, dude. I think I had to wind up throwing them away because they stunk so bad.
Oh, damn.
Jordan 1s.
I only have one pair of Jordans that I've ever, and they were given to me.
Yeah.
And I have them still in the original box. I haven't done anything with them.
No shit.
And I've tried to sell them for the same amount as all the other Jordans that sell for $500-600.
Good luck.
Nobody wants them.
Yep, that's
They're-
the difference between playing at a craps table that everyone's hooting and hollering and people that are just there shrugging their shoulders.
You
You know?
fucking Jordan fans out there are just pissed off all
Yeah,
the time.
dude.
Like it's
Fuck hype beastdom, dude. That pisses me off. If I want to use something, or if I want like Kobe shoes and that whole fucking thing.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Kobe memorabilia now. I mean, that's, we were
It's
talking
so
about
fucked up.
Thurman Thomas. Like Jim Kelly was teetering on that for a
Yeah.
while, where his stuff was about to skyrocket. But then
Yeah,
he
no
beat
kidding.
cancer, and now you
Yeah.
can get a Jim Kelly jersey for $1,309.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
I gave a painting to our neighbor, me and my roommate's neighbor, and he was like, "Oh man, you're gonna be a millionaire." I go, "Yeah, when I die." Like, fuck yeah.
Well, before we get to the next thing, because
Yeah.
I only have one more thing prepared, but was there any more to the nut story besides him chasing you around?
Oh, right.
you
So
dipped.
he follows me around with this chimney lighter, and then they went back inside and they continued drinking, and I was smoking a cigarette, and I go, you know what? Fucking, I'm going to light my balls on fire. So then I took out my lighter, and I knocked on the sliding glass door, and they looked over, and then they just see fucking hunk of burning love going up, man. Like, and there was the smell of burnt hair, and that's when it kind of started. And I thought it was a one-off thing. It was like, oh, that was fucking hilarious. I'll get you your shirts. Never got me my shirts.
Oh, what a dick. Well, you
No,
said
I mean,
he was
like,
nice, but
yeah, he's a great
still.
dude. Like, it was like in the heat of the moment, we were all wasted. I'm not gonna hold. Hey, remember that time I lit my balls on fire for those 6 shirts? Yeah, I kind of need those. You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like,
the next morning at breakfast, like he has a penchant for peeing on the fire. You just pull them out and be like, look at how smooth they are. Can I have my
you
t-shirts?
see this? You see this redness? This is not normal.
He's like, get out. Like,
Get
fuck,
out.
now we don't have a place to stay on
Oh,
tour.
it was cool and they were on fire, you know.
So how many times do you think you did it? Because I know you'd done it plenty of times. Like, you were really good at it by the time you did it on the show.
Yeah, I did it.
It was like a circus act. It was like they brought in a guy in a truck, and he gets out and takes off a suit
You
jacket.
remember John Henry's when they did the amateur strip-off?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I remember it being...
I've done it then.
Really?
Yeah, and I used Zippo fluid too. So I mean, you guys thought Everclear was something.
Dude, so did you hang hot dog too, since it was a strip off, or did you have to?
No, actually, the first time I did it, I was prepared because the lights are off, so I just kind of did the whole tuck and roll thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you got the brain going on.
Right.
So you're
Looks like kind of like a deer brain,
Yeah.
like a small deer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got some avocado seeds going
Okay,
on, so
so
it looks a
maybe an
little
elk.
weird. Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
an elk, yeah. On one side an elk, and on the other side a deer.
There you go. You don't sneak up on it. You poke it with a stick, you know.
You gotta make sure it's really dead, or else it'll fucking hurt you and the people that you're hunting.
You're gonna
with.
have a bad time. So I painted Brooklyn Jay's because it was against him, and I had this man thong thing I was wearing, and I painted Brooklyn Jay's beard on it with a circle with a line through it. And then on the third round, I ripped it open, and then I had my testicles there, and then I lit them on fire, but they were going through his mouth, and they even pointed it out. I still lost to that motherfucker, man.
Really? He's talented.
Yeah, he is. You know,
Talented guy.
I got into a drinking bet with him one time that never really happened, but because it started getting scary. We had a Jameson off is what we wanted to do, and because I was, you know, hanging out there way before the doors closed, way before 2:30.
Definitely during normal operating hours.
Normal operating hours, and I was wasted. And I was like, dude, Jay, you a big drinker? He goes, I could probably drink more Jameson than you can. I was like, I bet you can't.
Once again, the wrong thing to the right hombre.
Right? So we had this bet going on that it was going to be the loser had to shave their beard, and the winner was going to prepare a meal with the beard hair in it, and the loser had to eat it.
Didn't you guys learn anything when I had to smoke body hair that you don't play around with body hair?
That's what everyone was telling us. They're like, guys, that amount of hair will fucking kill you.
Well, I know if you light it on fire, it'll clear a room full of a live radio show.
Oh, trust me. I've lit my balls on fire with hair plenty of times, dude. To answer your question, I think we were into like the high double digits.
Wow.
Like-
so you were very well versed at it because
Well,
you didn't get hurt.
I
mean,
thought it
everything
was
fine.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was like for adults. It's like when you put the thumb onto the other thumb and you make it look like it's separating and shit. And you do the fucking Jesus tricks from Family Guy. You know,
Wiggle the pen.
yeah, wiggle the pen. But it's for adults. Yeah.
Look, it's made of rubber. It's made of rubber.
And then you got the two circles, and you put them together when you go behind the head, and
It was a party trick.
It was a party trick.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a one-time deal, and then our buddy's old mechanic died, and we had happened to be coming back on tour, and he goes, "Dude, my mechanic just died, man." And, him and another moto buddy were hanging out there, and I go, "Well, shit. Well, would it help if I lit my balls on fire? Would that lighten the mood?" And he just gives me these eyes like, could you? You know, like
Bill was right. Everybody says yes.
everyone says, especially in a time when you need something fucked up but funny to happen.
Right, right.
You know, no wonder why ridiculousness is doing as good as it is, because it's like, yeah, memes, I fucking love them. Like Instagram, fully addicted just for the memes and redheaded women that are Instagram full influencers.
Dude, and with a show like Ridiculousness is one that even you see it on MTV and it's like, for the next 8 hours, we got Ridiculousness.
Oh, my
and it's like,
God.
well, I guess I'm watching MTV2 for 8 hours now,
Yeah.
'cause I'll do it. It's
right?
It is. It's like a running meme, and it's really genius when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, to have they get a guy who's really witty and funny to run the videos. They get a guy that everybody loves to host it. They get a pretty young blonde girl in there, and
Of
they
course.
just let them talk about everything on the internet. I mean,
That's it.
It's genius. There's nothing to it, and it's genius. You want to talk about residuals? What are they like? 20 seasons in now or
Oh
something.
my God. And that's all they do is just play that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even see Fantasy Factory episodes anymore. They're just
No.
full on ridiculousness.
Watch, I had to look your guys' up on YouTube because I wanted to watch it again.
Good luck.
After I found just a clip of it. I couldn't find the whole thing. Which
No
is a
one
bummer.
can. I always try to do that, like when someone asks and goes, "No way, that's not you, dude." You know, it's like, fuck, I didn't even want to bring it up in the first place, but now I feel like a dick that I have to fucking
right.
prove myself right. You know,
and all you got to do if you want to know, ask me, because I saw that goddamn drive-by metal show more times than most people because we used it on the radio show like a weapon. It's just be like, somebody pissed us off. Go down and do drive-through metal.
Go down, drive by mobile.
Yeah, it's like, so I remember one time there was a lady that hadn't taken her Christmas lights down in like July.
Yeah.
And we just pulled you guys up out in front of her house and just did a drive-by metal show. And she was out there like watering her plants. And she's like, "Can you please stop with the metal?"
Right.
And we're
like they
take
sent her
your
son
Christmas
out.
decorations down.
Yeah. They sent her son out. And he's like, "Guys, my mom wants to know if like you guys could please just like stop." And we're like, "Yeah, dude, it's totally cool."
There is a moment where you feel like a real human sometimes.
You know what I mean?
You know?
Yeah. Like,
it was hard to draw that line because I love fucking with people, but I also don't want to ruin somebody's day.
absolutely. Like,
I wish
fucking with
everybody
someone,
was in on the joke.
fucking with someone and fucking with someone is two completely different things. It's like the use of the word dude. It's like it can mean so many things. Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Right.
Dude.
Aggressive,
like,
yeah, anything.
Like, so when you fuck with somebody in the sense of like, "Hey man, I'm just fucking with you." But if you're drunk and you try to fucking fuck with somebody, it's like, "Come on, dude."
Yeah.
Dude.
There's a line. There's always a line, and it crosses that. Alcohol pushes it over that line 9 times out of 10
like,
when it
oh
goes.
man, you think you're killing it, you know what I mean? And everything's just fucking funny and you're knocking it out of the park. And it's like, dude, you were a fucking raging dick last night, dude. Like, you kept pointing at this dude's pimple on his forehead and calling him fucking Cyclops, man. It was all bad.
So from that episode, you mentioned residuals earlier. You guys were getting paid from them for a while. That's pretty cool because
A little bit, yeah. We had an ASCAP and all that stuff. You know, you kind of have to for speaking roles and all that. I learned a lot of stuff through it. You know, I learned what not to do. I learned how to sneak off the Fantasy Factory to go smoke weed so I could be normal.
Yeah.
You know, and then another time I had to light my balls on fire. 3, 4, maybe 5 generations of phones now deep, maybe more. Rob Deerdick has a picture of me in broad daylight with my nuts on fire, jumping in the air, in broad daylight at the Fantasy Factory.
I wonder if it's framed on his wall.
You know what he said? He didn't know how he felt about it. Having another man's fucking sack out in the open on his phone. I don't blame you, but probably floating around. It was so iconic though because my feet are off of the air, you know, in the air. I'm not on the ground and. Just looks so artsy. My nuts are off, but it's daylight, so all you just see is testicles. You know, you just had to be there. So I've had a couple people do that. We were hanging out in L.A. and I was hanging out with our fucking good buddy that started this whole thing, and he happened to be friends with Brendan Small from Metalocalypse.
Love that show.
So I got about 6 people to fucking burn their balls with me one night.
Wow.
And we did it out of the mobile stage. And guess who had the video? This
Brendan
is
Small?
No, our buddy, and and he had it on his phone. So we put it. This is back when Break.com was a big thing.
I remember Break.
So it's on there, floating there somewhere.
Okay, so it's around on something that was YouTube before YouTube was YouTube.
Correct.
Basically. Gotcha.
Yeah. And he goes up to Brendan Small and he goes, "Dude, look what we did last night." And the first scene you see is me and my balls hanging out on fire. So like, and then I'm like, "Hey, I'm Dano, big fan of Metalocalypse.
Love your work, man.
Love your work.
Mine?
Can you give me some notes? Anyway, we could be on an episode. You know, no, these are my balls.
Yeah, I do great blast beats. Would you like to see me light my balls on fire again?
And then my buddy just kind of casually walks off of that, like, and just starts laughing about it and watching the video again. Like, dude, check this dude out. It's like, oh, fuck. Thanks.
Can't we just stay here and hang out with this guy?
Yeah,
He's
man.
already seen my balls. You know,
God damn. Now I owe him a
else.
beer and a date. You know, I owe him dinner now.
Oh, my God. Well, that's, I mean, you know, we were fortunate to know you and that you weren't going into some other radio show to light your balls on fire for them because the Donkey Show, that's where that type of behavior belonged. And
Yes.
when Bill told that story, I was dying. I still laugh at it just as hard every time I listen to it because I know the guy that he's talking about that was doing all the yelling.
Yeah.
And this is a dude that would shout you down in front of a whole room of people angrily and make you feel that big. And so knowing that Bill...
Was it who I think it is? Did he have 4 letters in his name?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this was... I mean, I called him a lot of names that had 4 letters.
Yes.
But anyway, this is the guy that fired us all, and so I don't have a problem. You know, I if he still worked there, I might say his name. His name got mentioned in Bill's episode, so if you want to hear it, you can listen to Bill's episode. I think it's episode 15.
Tight.
But one thing that I have left over, as you can see, you're sitting in the man room. I'm kind of a whore for nostalgic things.
I'm not playing drums with you naked, dude.
That's I appreciate it. If I play drums naked, don't choke me out.
That's it.
Okay.
I see some keyboard duster over there, man. I'm about to lose it.
Well, I saved something from the Donkey Show studio that hung on our wall for a very long time in there, and you probably haven't seen for quite some time, but you signed a drum head for us.
No way.
Yeah, take a look at that.
Oh, no way.
And that's actually been hanging on my wall right next to that other bass drum head over there that's to your right. You can't see it off camera, but that's my piece of the Athiarchists right there that I'll always have. You signed it for the Donkey Show.
To the Donkey Show party. You can do anything you say you can. Can, don't, won't, words that chain you down to an already restricted world. Man, I must have been really drunk.
Yeah, but it's still kind of Dano-like.
It very much
very
is.
much
like,
comes from you.
Yeah, I 110% back my words on this. Like,
Yeah.
I can't just be like, oh, that was the old me, or wow, that's, it's like, yep, that's fucking Dano. And then Aaron, I'm drunk.
Yeah, Aaron definitely put that down in ink. So
Poor Aaron, dude. Like, he would just let it all hang out because like he's one of those guys that like. It's not so much that he's nervous, but he's real, like, introvert kind of person.
Uncomfortable in the situation. Yeah.
So he's like, fuck it. I'm going to drink until I can't drink. And that's when I'm going to feel okay because now I'm focused on drinking. I'm not focused about anything else. I don't have to overthink. It's just pretty much shutting off the brain, but the body's still alive.
Sure. Yeah, and he wasn't the only one.
This is so cool.
Thank you. I'm very glad
I
that I still have it.
No.
You can come over and visit it. Now you know what kind of nostalgia whore I am. Like, I have a death grip on some things, and it was really cool because last week on the show, I was telling you we're off mic, I had Taylor Morden on, and he's a documentary filmmaker, and he did The Last Blockbuster. If you haven't seen it, it just makes you want to go stand in front of The Last Blockbuster and Bend. It's like the only one that's left, but they take you through that whole family movie night or date night in high school or something like that. That was our generation. Like, we rented movies. Whether you did it from a Blockbuster, you did it from a gas station.
Can you use a rotary phone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought about this the other day because I saw a video of it. I was like, no shit. Imagine you're in a fucking house. Or like now that those fucking escape rooms are big. Dude, just put a fucking young person into an escape room and give them clues to a phone number they have to fucking dial with a rotary phone,
They'll
dude.
never get out.
They're gonna die.
You better get them some cured meats in there that are going to last a long time. Because they're
Oh
gonna
my
need
God. They're going to become cured meat.
I can tell you about a trick on a rotary phone. You could dial 911 by when you picked up the phone off the hitch or whatever they call it. It had the two little things that
the
poked
prongs,
up. Yeah, and so you press those down 9 times in quick succession and then once and then once, and that would dial 911 for you.
And I believe they called that ATT mode back in the day.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because if you couldn't work it, they had this Radio Shack little tool that my grandparents had, and it was literally a speaker that you held up to the talking end, and you dialed with
clicks.
regular clicks and numbers, and it would give the same clicks out that would be received, and it would dial for you that way. It was it was pretty much what the internet became.
Exactly. I mean, it's it's text messaging. Figure it out.
Oh man, yeah. When you see those memes that have like the code for T9X,
yeah.
You know what I mean? 666.
Oh yeah.
-5 dash.
Most of the time it says send nudes.
Send nudes, of course.
That's 90% of them. But
I saw one that said "Okay, Boomer."
But you know what? There was a lot less wrecks because of texting back then because all of us, you never had to look at your screen and text. I remember it being like
in your pocket.
17 and just hammering out full text messages by just clicking the button pads and knowing
then it had that little nipple on 5 so you knew exactly what button you were on.
Exactly.
How
Find
many
the
times you
nipple,
had to
find
hit
home.
it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it was
JKL right there.
You say, oh, when you look down for a second, that's you travel the length of the football field. I was never looking down. I was cruising the gut. I got my eyes up looking for ladies. There's only 2,000 people in this town I live in.
I'm listening to Linkin Park. I'm about to throw on Manson.
See, for me, it was Blink-182 and Lagwagon. But, same stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, same stuff.
I was listening to some weird shit back then. Like, I mean, there was the common shit, but I mean, now that I think about it, like, I would listen to Enigma. You know what I mean? And like jam out to that, actually, not just like burn incense.
Were you what the hell were they called?
Mods. Don't even think
Prodigy?
about it.
Were you a Prodigy fan?
I fucking love them, dude. Smack my bitch up and breathe. And the videos. I was just watching videos the other day. I was watching Golden Earrings Twilight Zone. And I watched the video for that. I was like, wow, that's some bad acting, but still badass. The great concept.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Prodigy fan. I'll be honest with you.
No,
I really didn't get the electronic thing yet.
That's all we had back then. That and Richard Humpty Vision and Bad Boy Bill.
Yeah, but I was way more impressed by Reggie and the Full Effect because it was just one dude doing it all, And I was also kind of an angsty punk rocker. I wasn't hard enough to be metal.
Yeah.
And I played athletics, so it's like the metal kids wouldn't accept me anyway, So it's like I kind of had to find a certain group of people. My band in high school was like the most mainstream rocker dude singing, the pretty guy, with the skinny jeans.
No shit.
And then like a super dark, like eye makeup type goth kid, like another guy that was just only Rancid. Like that's all I play, 3-chord break punk.
No kidding.
And then a guy that we taught to play bass. We're like, here, this is a bass guitar. You go dun 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 when I go boom 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 pop. Okay, it's like pretty simple, and he figured it out. And he was another guy who's like a great athlete, and he was doing other things. But it's funny that it was so cliquey back then that the music you listened to in my school anyway kind of dictated who you hung out with, but more the person that you dressed like and looked like, And I wasn't into the metal near as much as I am now. I love metal and hardcore and all that stuff. I listen to it a lot. Like it is a mood thing for me now. I know what kind of mood I'm in, and if I'm in a hardcore mood, I've got a hardcore playlist. If I want just Slayer and just thrash metal and fast, and I can go to that. And I love that it expanded because there's a lot of it that I listened to from that era that I'm like, I missed out on it because I was trying to be something rather than just
oh my God,
listen.
I'm pretty thankful for that because thanks to my dad for that one because we listened to everything. He turned me on to bands that you can't even really like say, oh yeah, you remember that, like Tommy Two-Tone. He's got 8675309 Jenny, that kind of shit. One-hit wonders that people were like, oh yeah, but my dad would pull shit out of his ass where I had never heard anyone talk about it before.
Yeah.
Like my dad was the only one who knew this band existed. This band only exists because my dad knows who they are.
Keeps buying their albums. Keeps sending them $20 every year.
That's it, dude. Like you can't. Yeah. You get down with David Lindley and LX Ray O. Who? Nah, never mind, dude. Webb Wilder. No. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, I like the Rolling Stones. They're cool. And then growing up, getting into metal, like that's when LimeWire was around. I was like 18 and started listening to Pantera. But bands did something back in the day. They had these things called album covers because they came on a cassette or it came in a disc called a CD.
You're sitting right in front of one, actually. That Lagwagon flag behind you is the album cover from Haas. So, yeah.
So on the inside, they would have these things called lyrics that you would read along with it when you didn't understand what the angry vocalist was saying.
And were those written in hieroglyphics?
National Geographic, National Enquirer, information here.
Right. But I think you also need National Geographic to decipher the hieroglyphics.
Yes,
right?
you do. Well, it was actually Alien Jive.
Yeah, it wasn't on the screen.
The font that they call it, yes. But they would have, the thank yous at the back after all the lyrics. And they would have the band thank yous. So as a band, the bands that they toured with and the bands that they were friends with, they would give a shout out at the bottom. So that's when I started really doing my homework on these other bands that were out there. And then I would get bored with LimeWire music being around. I was able to put words together and be like, I wonder what it would sound like for a band like Nothing Face. So I typed in Nothing Face, and I was like, yup, that's exactly what they would sound like.
Yeah.
Hatebreed did the same thing with them.
LimeWire was amazing. I mean, I gave my computer AIDS time and time again.
Absolutely, sure. Until you download that one song that said "Korn new single" and it was some local fucking band or something that, you know what I mean, like that one song that everyone knew and they knew it wasn't Korn, but they still played it off. And like, oh yeah, it was just burning on my fucking list anyway, so I just kept it there. So whatever.
For me, it was a song called "Falling for You" by I think Dynamite Boy.
Okay.
And it was what they did is it took me until like 10 years ago to know that it was by that band because they put the song in "Falling for You" and then they wrote Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, Simple Plan, just every single pop punk band that you could think of in the band area, and they didn't ever put their name in it.
Right.
But everybody knew that song. Like, it was crazy. They figured out something that they could do. It wasn't a bad song, but it wasn't worthy of being with all those other bands that were actually accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
And I always remember just being like, oh yeah, this is the song that I like, but I don't know who it's by. And then a few years ago, I was like, I wonder who fucking wrote that. And now I have the ability to look that
and
shit
now
up.
you can look that shit up. Yeah.
And I think it was Dynamite Boy.
I've done that with so many bands where it's like, you know, the last time I tried to look that up, YouTube only had like 5,000 videos on it.
Yeah, dude. And now it's like YouTube's like, what do you want? It's over here.
What do you want? It's over here. You want that with or without nudity? You want, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It's always yes.
Dano, I knew from the moment that we had to reschedule this thing twice and talking to you that this was going to be an absolutely wonderful conversation.
I agree.
We have we're pushing 2 hours now. Actually, it's so long that my waveform isn't populating. I know it's still recording, but I don't know how long we've gone. So
I fucking warned you, man.
I know you did, and I want to thank you so much for giving me the time and also the flexibility to get you over here in a time that we could actually allow for enough time to have this conversation.
Yeah, like I told you, it's my pleasure. And my whole day is dedicated to you. You know, it's like there's no we got to cut it here or I got other stuff to do or anything like that. And my sole purpose was catching up with you and having it be as genuine as possible to have it for something like this. Because how many times you get to hear people genuinely like catching up? Like, we're not concerned about fucking entertaining whoever's listening right now, but thank you for listening.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's mostly just being that open and honest thing that I was talking about. Like, you want to know some real shit, and then you're going to get some more real shit that no one else gets to hear.
Exactly.
So, I mean...
And that's the premise of the show, too. When I reach out to people, I tell them exactly like I told you. I want to sit down, share a beverage with you, and chat. Let's talk about what comes up. If we want to talk and have it be directed, that's fine. I can do that. I spent 8 years doing radio interviews. I know how to direct an interview. I can write down 8 pages of questions and have you just answer, but... That's not the kind of show or conversation I wanted to have with someone like you who, you know, I've been fortunate enough to share the stage with and have on my program and see the things that you've done and be a fan of your band. This bums me out. I could not find my I Support the Athiarchists shirt. I think my wife stole it from me.
Oh, my God, you have one of those?
It was a medium, and I don't know whoever gave me a medium.
Dude, that shirt in particular was so rad because there were bands that were on Mayhem Fest that were wearing that on stage. Like,
because you guys were just following them around playing in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, you fought your way onto that tour.
That fucking heat we just had, Aaron and I were both talking about it. It's like, if we had to do that all over again, there's no fucking way we'd survive at fucking 39 and 38, man. We'd be dying. Hey, I'll tell you what, Mr. Reese, you go ahead and do the next, 3-4 shows. We're just going to catch a hotel room for a couple of days and, lounge around because we might die.
We're going to bake pizzas in the metal van because it's
absolutely
literally
it's hot
an
enough.
oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dude, thank you so much once again, and I know that we're gonna.
Are you kicking me off?
No, I'm not
kicking
you off.
me out?
I was
Is
just
that what's going on here?
I was gonna wrap up because we just broke the record.
Okay.
I was gonna keep you on until we broke the record, and now my thing's working again. And
so now you're kicking me off.
We're not kicking you off, but I do need to end it at some point in time because there's National Enquirer shit that we need to talk about.
Well, yeah, there is. I mean, shout out to my nephew's company. If I can do that right now, is that okay?
Please.
Please and thank you. He has him and his partner have a company called Heartbreak Harbor where they get shirts from like Goodwill and stuff, and they do the vintage stuff, and they only pick up the fire stuff,
Okay.
But they got that going on. You can check them out on Instagram.
And we'll also
Heartbreak Harbor.
We'll put the link to that in the description of the podcast. So it'll
if
be
you could
on
please,
all of
thank
those.
you. And yeah,
Athiarchists.
Athiarchists are really just wait and see. You know what I mean? Like if you want to follow or do anything like that, I mean, you can find us on Spotify. But like I was saying before, we're a live band, so the more important thing would probably be Aaron's brand.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Itchy
IRBS, Itchy Ribs.
Yep.
Yeah, go into your dispensary, man, and say, what's up, man? Give me my Itchy Ribs. We're hopefully tentatively putting out some kind of content for Itchy Ribs soon.
Awesome.
which I will leave you privy to after this.
Sure.
And
I will tell you right now from just a little personal bit, I mean, coming from somebody who managed dispensaries and spent 5 years in the cannabis industry, I loved Itchy Ribs for the value. I really think that it's one of the best priced pre-rolls that you're going to find out there and the best quality for that price as well. It's really good shit. I'm sure that's what we smoked on the program.
working class weed, dude.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that for Itchy Ribs. You want a weed or do you want some weed?
And the name, too, Itchy Ribs.
Yeah, get yourself a little itch in your ribs.
It's just too good, man. And Aaron's a great dude. I would love to have you guys, once Athiarchists is starting to do something, or if you want to come on and talk Itchy Ribs, if you want to, come on again, you're more than welcome, dude. This is always going to be an open invitation.
You know what? Speaking of which, do you have any plans July 31st and August 1st?
Yeah, I'll be out of town.
You will?
What do you got going on?
There's a Big Hill Jam that our buddy Josh Hill's putting on.
Yeah.
It's a motocross thing that's going to be going on. Yeah, but
So are you guys thinking about maybe playing there?
what have you been thinking?
Okay, that's kind of what I figured. I see where you're coming from here. Yeah, I go out the last weekend in July every year. I get this thing with my family back where I grew up called Chief Joseph Days. It's like a rodeo.
Where'd you go up?
Enterprise, Oregon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Way up in the northeast corner of the state.
And they got a rodeo there?
Yeah, we don't really go for the rodeo. I go up there to go out on the lake.
Fucked up.
Yeah, we drink beer like cowboys, and then they have the one thing I actually do go to after the rodeo is it's a big dance with a live country band in a place called the Thunder Room, which where are you going to get something more redneck than the Thunder Room?
That's fucking badass.
Yeah, and so we go there and just, it used to be like a class reunion for me, all the people that I hadn't seen for a full year, but the older that I get and the more that those people kind of separate from me, what I find is like I really love to go back there and hang out with my parents and my sister and her husband and their kids and just spend time out on the lake. Like it used to be about the party, like you're saying. I got to go get fucked up with all these people I haven't seen. Now it's like I still drink and everything and party, but I'm doing it with just, my family and the very close-knit ones. There's a golf tournament we'll play in with my dad.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and so, it's a really wholesome thing that we do every year. That's the only reason I would miss your concert.
Okay.
So get in touch with me when the next one comes. Not only will we plug it on whatever podcast we're doing.
Nah, we're just going to make sure that we let everyone know that you're not going to be able to be doing anything that day.
Okay, well, that's probably a good idea.
We're taking Marcus with us. I like how that sounds through the headphones and the microphone, dude. Like I
do too.
I want to do this. Like we should do like a man room podcast with Sam Elliott. You know what I mean? Like, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome to the man room.
He lives like right up the road, right?
Yeah, does he really?
Yeah, he lives in Coburg.
No
or
shit.
Maybe it might be Brownsville. It's either Coburg or Brownsville. But I saw him in Market of Choice one time.
I've heard that he frequents there.
He does, and he does not like it when people talk to him. I saw him get kind of short with the woman and just be like, I don't want to take any pictures and walk out, which you can understand. He's grocery shopping, for God's sakes, and he's a huge star.
Dude, I've watched him die in too many fucking movies to pull that shit. Dude, I got to thank that guy because he's cool. And then he's the fucking voice for like beer and trucks and
Lebowski.
Everything. Dude, he's the man.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that that's the right mindset to have. If you see a celebrity, walk up and be incredibly humble and say, thank you. I love your work.
Absolutely.
I love your things. There's a lot of people that just go, can I have a picture?
No shit.
And have a little tact. All I would say.
I mean, I can understand if it was Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
Or someone like that. You know what I mean? Like if or like fucking Weird Al.
Right. And Weird Al, by the way, super awesome dude,
fucking
and would
bitchin'.
Definitely take a picture with you.
Absolutely.
Such a nice guy.
Like he'll sacrifice being late. Well, I guess I'm gonna wait until the next bus. Kind of guy.
Yeah.
But then you got Sam Elliott there. Get away from me, dude.
Well, we were in line behind him, and so I took a picture of his boots because he kept quartering back towards us like he was going to catch me, and I was like, you're sitting there with the phone like
he's going to give you a horse kick like a true cowboy.
He had shit kickers on, man. I mean, put a hole in your chest with those things. So I just took a picture of his boots. I don't have it anymore. But when I do see you, Sam,
I mean, when's the last time you looked at your photo album and was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking look at that last time that I looked. I got Sam Elliott's boots in my gallery.
I got this guy I met one time on my TV show with his balls on fire.
Well, I mean, there's me that's fucking with fish that has pictures of them in his phone. You know what I mean? This is one that I really fucked with.
I walked this one all the way up to the street, made a look at the road. We got cars, bitch.
We have cars. Now, you see that lure? You see that fucking lure? I want you to tell all your friends about me. Well, Marcus, I am so glad to see things are going well. We should probably go read some National Enquirer, maybe cut a promo or something for the show, you know. Do
Absolutely.
Something.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for your hospitality. I really love your Room of the Man persuasion.
Thank you.
It's really awesome.
It's friend to all people, non-binary, male, female. We're good to go.
You know what?
Can come up here.
I was just going to say, any of my contacts that I have in my phone or anyone that I've said hi to at a party once, if I can fucking call in any kind of favor with anybody to get them in here for you, by all means, dude. My people are your people.
Dude, thank you so much. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate that, man.
Yes.
And you are forever a friend of the Man Room. Like I said, this won't be the only time that we do this, so long as the podcast persists and, you know, the good man willing, or the good spirit, or whatever we call it, the dude willing, we shall abide.
I can't stop doing Samuel. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm just so stuck in it.
That's the Man Room podcast, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to do some liners and drink some more margaritas. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. And transmission.